Welcome to the Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, episode 208. You can call me Dario Z. And over here,
I don't have a fucking cool Chainsaw Christian. I always go back to that one.
Chainsaw Christian. I can
Put
dig
me
it.
on the spot. We were thinking of that
Yeah.
when we were at the morning zoo. We had to have all these crazy names. You know,
Well,
that even whittled its way into that script that I never fucking fit. I don't even want to get into it because I'm going to make myself mad out of the gate.
About a script?
Well, no, about our script, because I went away. I said, maybe I'll do it. You get on a plane and it's like a fucking tube. I'm on an 8.5 hour flight. I just want to sleep and I want to get off the plane. I don't want to be creative. I don't want to do anything. I just watched
Then don't.
fucking shows. I watched The Irishman, Martin Scorsese, finally, because I hadn't.
Can't believe you, dude.
What?
Okay, I didn't watch it, but yesterday somebody shared a video about Scorsese saying that it's too late now for his career. Anyway, there was a whole video about Scorsese. I'll have to tell you later, but it's basically he said it's too late. He's 80 years old. Anyway, and he still apparently made another great movie that's coming out soon. People are blowing it already. It's not even out yet. But anyway,
it's too
he's
late.
saying something.
You guys 80.
It was this, well,
Look at his
he was just
filmography.
talking about basically. He said something about the words "it's too late," and then they took it back to another interview with Orson Welles, saying that he regrets so many things, and he goes, "I wish I didn't fall in love with film because it consumed me, and I can never be perfect at it, and everything else, and I could have done other things with my life." Anyway, there was this whole thing about, and I'm watching the Scorsese. He's talking, and they show pictures of the Irishman and this and that, and I'm thinking to myself, I still never saw that damn movie. I know it was really long and it didn't get like freaking great reviews. And I go, maybe I should get around to it. And then you say this morning. It's just weird that I was thinking of it last night and you brought it up.
You love your long movie. It's a 3.5 hour roughly film. And I'm like, well, I'm on a fucking plane, like I already fucking said. I don't know why I'm so angry out of the gate this morning. Right out of the gate.
We both were. We've both been angry already this morning. It's facts.
And so then I'm like, well, I'm here, captive audience. So I watched it. You know, I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite of his films, but I still think it's like a 9 out of 10. It's
what?
Oh yeah, I don't know where you're hearing the negative stuff. It's great. I mean, it's not Casino or Goodfellas great, but it's almost there. It's got that vibe. The problem with it, and again, it's a problem only if, depending on the person. Like my wife, for instance, she watched it because I think I was away when it came out. So she tried it, couldn't get over that de-aging process. It looked very artificial. And
that's
so
what I heard.
It threw her off. And then that guy had that video. He was like, I don't know if he was a total noob or an amateur, but he had some experience with it. And he just did it on his own for nothing. And supposedly the de-aging process that they paid for in that film cost a shit ton of money, like more money than most movies cost just to de-age.
Right.
And this guy did it better for nothing, or for next to nothing. And so there was a big argument with that, a big joke about it when it came out. That aside, if you put that aside and just watch it for the movie, it's a fucking great movie.
I'm just concerned about the de-aging thing and it looking too fake and it like
it's
throwing
in the
me
eyes.
off. I think that's another reason.
It will. But if you go in with that mentality, because I did, you'll just be okay with it. But it's that glint in the eyes that really kind of throws you off. It looks a notch better than like really, the CG characters that create for Resident Evil, the video game or something like that. But because that's in a sort of cartoon computer generated world, you accept it. And this looks like they're in the real world, but there's something augmented, obviously, because there is, about their physical appearance. But if you could just let it go, or go in knowing that, your enjoyment will be elevated. Because mine was. But I did admit, I'm like, it's a little rough. But I keep going back. It's the glint in the eye that really throws you off a little bit.
Glint in the eye. Well, I'm going to have to get over it and try it. But again, 3.5 hours. I like a long movie, but I don't know about none of his other movies have been that long. It just seems odd that all of a sudden now, at this point, it seems like it's, you know what it is to me? It seems like it's at this point in the guy's career where he's bringing back the old people that he's worked with before, and he's making the movie really long, and he's doing this de-aging thing. It seems like it's not grasping at straws, maybe trying too hard. It seems like it's so gimmicky that I think that kind of like steered me away a little bit from it. All those
If you,
gimmicks at one.
I think when you watch it, you'll be like, okay, like that's maybe I thought the same as you because I had put it off for so long. Came
Right.
out like at 18 or 19, and here it is like years later, and I'm watching it now. Like, you know, it's a long time later. So, but check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. But yeah, it may be distracting at first, but then you get used to it. Yeah, it's fun and it feels old school. You know, here's the thing, and I agree with it to a certain degree. Why I typically have not watched television as much as most people or whatever, even though it's gotten way better in the last 10 years, 20 years, is because I like in, out, done. I like a movie, beginning, middle, and end. We're watching in one sitting, done. But now people binge shows constantly. So think of it like you're binging a 3-episode show. It's not presented that way, but if you think of it that way, then it's watch it in 1 hour chunks. I don't know what to tell you, but that's
I hear you
to get, because this is James Cameron's argument. I haven't even watched Avatar 2 yet.
And I started that too.
And
I got an hour in.
Said, I don't want to hear people complain about the length. You guys are binge watching 10-episode shows that are even longer than my movie. So,
well, that's because the shows are presented in a show format where each episode has a beginning, middle, and an end to a degree, where you have something at the end and it's like a stinger, if you will, or it's something that it's a hook for the next time. It's like watching any episodic show. And it's always been this way, where movies aren't really presented that way, unless it's something where it's, you know,
unless it's a movie we're talking about tonight later on.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, in a way.
In a way, that's why that will be a critique later. A critique, in a sense, later.
Yeah, but like Suspiria, the remake, that was like presented in whatever how many acts. You could watch one act at a time, but the movie isn't even that long. So it's just like, there's just something about the presentation where if it's a show, it just seems that that's the way to be. When you're watching a movie, it's difficult for me, if I'm into the movie, to stop and say, I'm going to come back later. It just doesn't seem right to me. Like Avatar, I didn't want to watch the whole thing. I heard it was too long. The thing about Avatar is this. I saw the first one at the theater, and I loved it. And,
agreed.
The story was good, but the 3D, the 3D blew me away. I thought it was the best 3D. It was like immersive. I loved it. Now, I have not seen the movie since I saw it at the theater. I bought the Blu-ray and it sat on the shelf for years. All this time, I've never watched it. I haven't had the yearning to go back. I just because it wasn't the theater, and I don't have a 3D TV and a 3D player and whatever, any of that. So I never watched it. Now I heard the new one came out, and because it's been so long since the first one, I was like, well, do I really want to rush out to the theater to see this? I don't even know what. And I was right, because I'm watching the movie now. My wife wanted to watch it. So I'm like, okay. We watched about an hour of it. And I'm just watching it. And I have no idea who all the characters are, where we left off at the end of the last one, what's going on. I'm just going with the flow, so I don't care. But she's asked me questions, and I'm like, I said, I don't know. I'm just going with it. You're the one that wanted to watch it. So, but then we had to stop it. We're going to go back. But that's why I didn't want to watch it. I go, this is what I said. I go, we should have watched the other one first and then watch this, just to caught up to speed.
8-hour extravaganza or whatever. So,
but that's another problem. Right.
The window was see it in the theater. And at first I thought my wife was interested because I saw it with a buddy of mine in regular 3D in the theater. And I'm like, holy fuck, I can't believe that was so, I loved it. I loved it. It was great 3D. And I'm like, Carrie, you're wrong. We have to go see it. You have to see it. So we went to see it in IMAX way back when. And then we loved it. And she loved it. And then we watched it once, maybe twice since then. But it had been, I'm not talking definitely not in the last 6 years. Like, it's been a long time. And we even tried to watch it with the kids, and I think they got a little bored. So then we stopped it. So it's like 2.5 times we watched it since then. So the downfall is knowing that it was 3.5 hours or whatever it was, definitely was like, I don't know, even though the theater's the way to go see it, because there's no interruptions other than you have to run out, take a quick pee, but you're there, you're locked in, and that's the way to do it. When you're at home, I go grab a snack, someone's talking, it doesn't really matter. Like you could stop and whatever. It really plays with the momentum of it. And you're right, it's not meant to be watched that way. And that's definitely not how they intended it to be watched. I don't think Scorsese wants like an intermission every hour. He wants you to fucking watch his movie. And same with Cameron. However, I admit I didn't see it in the theater. I wanted to go. Christian, I didn't think was going to last for 3.5 hours or whatever it is, like I said.
Right.
And Carrie didn't want to go. So it was either go by myself or miss it. And I missed it. Now it's on Disney Plus. It's like out for free, or not free, but free if you have the subscription. And I still I think it came out while I was away or just after I came back, or I would have downloaded that to my computer or to my iPad too and watched it on the trip home.
Man.
Because you're glued. Again, you're stuck in that fucking tube. The rage tube, I'm going to call it, because I'm getting really mad every time I talk about it.
I don't know. Hold on one second here. I'm having audio issues.
Well, as you can tell, I am too, because I'm wearing my cans today. I call it the Prince of Leia.
Bluetooth off.
You can call me Your Highness. That should be my nickname.
Oh, great. Now I can't hear you at all. This is
perfect. Good. Awesome. The listeners wish they can't, but you need to hear me, because this is a team effort here. I'll just keep talking about it. So everybody, I went away. I think I mentioned it last show. I was in Budapest for 6 days, Monday to Sunday. And it was really cool. I hadn't been before. Awesome scenery. It was for work. So it was like, we were able to do some fun stuff, but there's also a meeting component to it that, was mandatory. Unless you wanted to get shit canned, but it was a good place. Recommended if you are a traveler or like doing shit like that, you could probably get away with 2 days. Now I'm talking about just the city. We didn't explore the rest of Hungary or anything like that. It was just Budapest, the city, and it's like 2, maybe 3 days. You can absorb it all. Very safe, very cool. The food was underwhelming. I don't know if they're really known for food. Like when you think of Hungary, you think of like cabbage and goulash or something like that. But nothing horrible. It didn't blow me away like some of the other places I've gone to.
Well, that's a problem there. A place that's named Hungary should have something to do with food.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell?
Yeah, they didn't get the memo.
Yeah, but I picture burgers for some reason. I picture like hamburgers, maybe because of the H for hungry, H-A. Either way. No, it's Hungary is H-U, sorry. Either way. I picture like a big fat hamburgers and stuff in Hungary. They probably have no idea what that even is. But
so funny that you said that. When we landed, we get out of the airport, so we're cabinet to the hotel, and you come out. First thing I see is an H&M store, and then I see a Burger King.
H&M.
Yeah,
H&M's like records and stuff.
No, H&M. That's HMV. That's gone now. H&M is a clothing store similar to like Old Navy. First thing we see as we round about is that chain. And then I see a Burger King and then a McDonald's. And I got to tell you, as dumb as this may sound, I almost wanted to go to McDonald's because I've done it in other countries just to see what the difference is like. And I really wanted to try it, but I never ended up having a Hungarian McDonald's Big Mac.
You know what?
Or Royale with cheese.
That should be a YouTube channel. They should go to every McDonald's in every country.
That would be awesome.
Buddy, I have so many ideas for YouTube channels and shows.
It's TikTok. It's TikTok now. I got to fucking start TikTok.
It would be something. See, if I had the money to travel and everything, I'm telling you, it takes money to make it. Again, I think that would be a good gimmick to travel around to different ones in different countries. And
why didn't you tell me this 10 years ago, Dave, before I knew you?
I know.
It would have been a really sporadic update though, because it's like not like you're if you almost have to be traveling consistently to do it, whereas I'm going like here or there for work, and out of country for work is possibly once a year. It's not very common. And of course we hadn't done it for 4. I went right before COVID, and then this is the first one out of country since, for work purposes.
Man, I gotta play the lottery. Need to hit the lottery so I could do things like that. But then again, maybe I wouldn't do it.
So you could go eat McDonald's in different countries. I love the reasons we want to win the lottery.
I know that's ridiculous, because I don't even think. See, I'm trying to get a hustle. I'm trying to get a popular YouTube channel and be an influencer so I can make money. Now I'm thinking about, if I hit the lottery,
yeah,
I don't need to make money.
Yeah.
So I don't need to have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. There's nothing like, if I have money, all of a sudden all my interests are going to go away. Like, very few people in the world will see me again. That's what would happen if I hit the lottery. There'd be no more Dave Z Hustle. There would be no more. I might vanish from freaking social media for 10 years if I hit the lottery.
Because I think, the only thing I could see being different, maybe you wouldn't from the horror community. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. Like, I agree with you.
I don't know.
I think certain things probably, it depends on the amount of money as well, but certain things would be dead in the water. Yeah. But then, like, my love of collecting will just be like off the charts, because then you wouldn't have to worry about maybe I went a little overboard this month or that month or whatever. Just so that would be bad. Physical media, whatever it may be. So the love of the genre and the collecting aspect will be at an all-time high. I would have to probably get people, because I would know that my mind, without winning the lottery, it's always racing, and I can't fucking seem to concentrate enough to get. So if someone wrote a script and said, "Here, assholes, here you go. Here's a script," maybe we could actually make movies, because that's what I would like to do. Fund my own movies. As much as people say don't fund your own movies, this way you could just do whatever you wanted to do. Here's a script. Here's a whatever. Go out for a couple of weeks, enjoy the film, and make a movie, and pay people properly so that they feel like they're actually part of something. So you're not just making something, and you don't have to, rely on everybody for crowdfunding and stuff like that, which I hate to do, but obviously it seems to be a reality for the indie film nowadays, or the next to no budget film.
At least people are okay with that. People understand it now. Maybe once upon a time, people are like, "I'm not doing that. I'm not going to donate to that." And now it's like all over the place, especially for these fan films. So people are into it, because they have a gimmick. And I have a great idea for a movie, by the way.
Is this the found footage one that you texted me quickly?
Yes, but it's expanded since. That was just the start of it. Now I had another idea that not only it's going to pad the running time, and it's easy to do. No, I'm telling you.
You mean flesh out? We got to reword that. You mean flesh out the characters?
Well, it's going to be one of the better parts, actually. So yeah, it is fleshing out, but it's really fleshing out one character, the presenter, the person that's presenting it. This is a whole new idea that I had. I'm so jazzed about it. I even want to go out and start filming it now, because there's part of it that can be filmed now. The other is set up. The introduction of it is that it's a YouTube channel. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Awesome.
So I almost don't want to share, thinking someone's going to steal it. But I'm telling you, this idea.
Are horrible, horrible listeners.
I listen to this. So, yes, found footage. Yes.
Talking to you,
I've been watching more on that later. What we've been watching. Found footage. I'm the found footage fool. I've watched so many found footage movies.
That should be your channel. The Found Footage Fool. There's your YouTube, TikTok channel.
I'm sure it exists. Oh, it does. It's a podcast. That's where I got it from. Not even thinking. Bo does it. It's one of Bo Ransdell's side projects that he does for his thing. It's called the Found Footage Fool. And
I'll edit this out, and now you're the new Found Footage Fool.
Well, I might take it over. It's been a while since he put out a podcast. But that's what I noticed about a lot of people. They'll put out podcasts. They'll put out like a bunch in like 2 months. Hey, the new this so much that it's almost egregious. There's like every week there's a new show coming out. This sometimes twice a week.
Still,
then all of a sudden,
I thought
Then
that was
all of a
happening.
sudden,
Okay. Sorry, I'm
they'll
interrupting.
disappear.
Yeah.
Then they'll disappear. And then you'll think it's dormant. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, they'll start coming back and rifling them off again. That's what I noticed about people that try to go all the time, that a lot of times they can't. They do it, they overdo it, they get obsessed with it, and they burn out.
What happened
What?
there?
What happened? Me?
I can't hear you. Hold on. Something defaulted on me. Fucking thing.
This whole episode is just marred with technical issues.
It my AirPods are closed in this case, and it just automatically connected to them somehow.
Funny thing is, my AirPods won't work.
You motherfucker.
See?
Sorry about that. I was ranting raving as you were going off about it. You probably just gave the whole plot out.
No, nothing like that. I didn't even get to it. No, I don't even know what I just said.
Oh, here, maybe I'll get you back on track by asking a question about it. So this is what I've always wondered about a lot of the found footage. I'm sure most of them, if not maybe all, are scripted from page 1 to the end. But do you think? Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Do you think for this and for your idea, do you want a script or do you want to have just scene cards, scene with the idea of what needs to be projected, and then it's ad-libbed or improvised while we're out there? The downfall of ad-lib or improvised is you do need to have somewhat competent players out and about and working with it.
There you go. The answer to the question is, it all depends on my confidence in the people on screen. Like, I know I can ad-lib. I don't think that everybody can ad-lib. I don't think a lot of people know how to be natural. Like right now, if I was in a movie, it would be exactly the same as me talking to you now. You wouldn't know I was acting or not. That's the way I feel. I feel I could do that in a movie. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that a lot of people have that. I've just made a life being an actor because I've been so good at bullshitting all through my youth. And I don't really need to bullshit anymore as an adult because I have nothing to bullshit about. But I got out of trouble. I manipulated. I did so many things throughout my life, just even picking up women. You know, this is the truth.
I got a 7.5-inch cock.
Well, that is true, but that's irrelevant. That is irrelevant, though. The thing with females is this. I used to be shy. Okay. I was shy when I was young, like a preteen, 13, 14, 15, 16. I was shy. I didn't have my first girlfriend.
That's teen.
Yeah, true. Well, include that preteen and then, you know what I'm saying? And then it continued on. And I was shy and spastic on top of it. And anyway, I didn't really get anything going until I was like 17. And then I had the same girlfriend for like 2.5 years on and off through high school. So that was fine. But the thing is this. By the time I hit like 20, you know how they say fake it till you make it. All of a sudden, I became aware that confidence is a turn on. I hear females talking about it. I have female friends. I hear this, and this. I observe how other guys act. I do this and that. I decide I'm going to fake confidence. And I did. I became a completely different person. And it's so much easier talking to people that you never met before. Like if it's girls you went to school with, they already know you. But if you go anywhere else, out to a bar, out to a different school party, this and that, you could be a different type of person. And then when online came in, forget about it. Then it's just the power of the word is good. And I'm good at, expressing. So I became fake confident. Okay. And then what happened was eventually they say fake it till you make it. Eventually that fake confidence bled into me being me. And all of a sudden, I have not had any nerves around any female since the age of 20. Now in my mind, I can pull any female I want, even though I know it's not true. That's why I say in my mind. I have the mentality.
I'm not laughing at you. It's just,
it's okay.
It's such a statement. It just took me by surprise.
But that's how you have to be. Without being arrogant about it. There's a difference between, confidence and cockiness. Although cockiness, to a degree, they kind of like that too. You just got to play it the right way. But
especially 8-inch cockiness.
Yes. But anyway, I've learned. So I've always been an actor in a sense. You had to become somebody else to be the person you want to be. So now I think I could do it. But do we have confidence in our daughters and other people that we can get in them with people that we're friends with or whatever to be able to go on the screen and just act natural and ad lib? I don't know. I guess you'd have to try it first and then see how it played out. And then if it didn't work well, we got to write a script.
Sometimes people don't know how to play themselves or underplay. I feel like I've got that problem too. The downfall is I'm a ham. I'm a ham in real life, so that if I'm like, I'm kind of like, don't get me wrong, I could be chilling, whatever too. But if I'm talking, I talk like excitedly. I'm expressive typically. And so that could come across as overacting or, oh, he's a caricature. But to be honest, I think is me a lot of the times. Don't get me wrong. Like my wife would say, like, of course I've got down not time and whatever, or I could be like down in the dumps, or I could just want to veg and I don't want to fucking see anybody. That's when the only child in me kicks in, because it's I'm so used to having my own downtime that even at my older age, I need time to myself. It's just time to veg. And not that's typically why I step way late, not way late, but later than the rest of the family, just because I could just veg out. Quiet and whatever. However, when I'm on screen, I've always said, or when anybody's on screen, I always say, if you're going to try to do it, underplay. Now you can't like have no emotion, or that will come across as like, like Troll 2, like, oh my God, or whatever. Like you've got to have some sort of talent or ability to convey emotion. And I feel like I could to a degree, but I also know my limitations, and I think I would be hamming it up when I'm not trying to underplay it. When shit hits the fan, let's say, if it was in that environment, that's when I worry that I wouldn't be top notch. But I think I could get away with being just a regular guy, delivering some dialogue and whatever. But if I, shit hits the fan or whatever, I think I'd be like Chris Tucker, like, what the fuck's going on over here? I don't know.
I wouldn't let you. Don't worry.
I don't know if
I'd stop you in your tracks if you were getting too crazy. I don't think you would, though. I think you'd
become a black comic, evidently, in that scenario.
I don't know. I just went with it. I think you'd be. I think if you're on a set, you'd be all business. I really do.
Why Chris Tucker? I know why Chris Tucker. I haven't thought of this guy for a while, even though I love Dead Presidents and a couple of things. He was in Air, which I also watched on the plane.
Oh, I didn't watch it yet.
That's a really great movie. I won't say much about it. I really enjoyed it. Ben Affleck, although I appreciate some of his acting, whatever like that. Sometimes he comes across playing the same. He should just stick to directing. He's a great director. It's some people might disagree, but everything that he's directed, I've really, really thoroughly enjoyed.
What's he directed?
This, Argo, The Town.
Never saw him.
Forgetting one of them. I'm forgetting one of them, I think.
Boring names. Argo in The Town. So I never went to it,
Who can argue that logic? I sometimes I have that same feeling too sometimes.
Like The French Connection. Sounds fucking boring. I never watched it my whole life. People have been beefing because they took some dialogue out of The French Connection.
I saw that post too. I just watched that one. Who the fuck cares?
Here it comes. Here it comes, folks. This is what you wanted out there.
Buy the physical media and then shut the fuck up.
Right. Physical media. Get your physical media. And let me go back to the thing, and then I got to go back to this thing. I'm all over the place, but that's
we are, but that's a show.
Okay. Yeah, true. Let me address this first. If you're hamming it up on the set, people like a character like that's memorable. Now, sometimes they don't, but it's at least a memorable character that when somebody posts this movie, someone will say, oh, that one character was so fucking annoying, or someone else will say, oh, that one character was great. So at least you would stand out. You would stand out from other found footage movies.
The most hated
character. Okay? I don't think that would happen anyway. So as far as ad-libbing, we'd have to see how it went. But this is my pitch. How about this? There's a YouTube channel. I guess we can call it VHS Discoveries or something. And the gimmick of this VHS, of this YouTube
Exploding
channel.
VHS?
Yeah, that too. It could be that. But the gimmick of this YouTube channel is this. You go out to Goodwills and to Salvation Army and different places where they have videotapes. You could even buy them online if they're like blank videotapes that were recorded from people's houses, because
I
sometimes
like it
people
already.
sell those, like on Craigslist and stuff like that. So this is what the channel's gimmick is. You
I
go
like
out
it.
and you buy blank videotapes, or videotapes that are labeled like, Our Wedding 1983. Just things that shouldn't be on a shelf at a Goodwill, but you might come across them sometime. Oddball, oddity things. And then
Yeah.
you get these VHSs, you go home and you put it in the player, and that's your YouTube channel. You show what comes on the screen and you comment about it, and then you will watch it yourself and then say, and we found this crazy, Christmas movie from 1974 that was made for whatever, Canadian television, and it's called Bob Beaver's Downtown Christmas or something, and it's something that no one's ever heard of.
That sounds very Canadian, actually.
Right, okay, there you go. And they watch it, and you can make comments about how bad it is, or whatever, or just what it's an oddity. And so this is
Nice
the gimmick,
beaver.
right?
It'll be our normal stupid jokes on the show.
So this is what we do. You or I come on at the beginning, and that's the show. Welcome to VHS Discoveries or whatever. This, and this. I just picked up this one from this place. I got this here, and boy, I got some treats to show you. So now there's going to be a couple blank ones, of course, but you buy them, right?
Yeah.
So now you put the blank VHS in, and boom, that is your found footage horror movie. You see? So it comes off like found footage, something that was taped once by somebody, and it comes back in true format. And now everyone loves the social media influencer gimmick for these movies now. So now if someone like you or I come on and we BS, let's say our running time is 80 minutes, a good 20 minutes is going to be the hosting of that show and talking about this. That's easy to do.
That's the found footage movie idea. The laptop movie, when it was a show, it kind of started like that, but that scripted. The goal is it was scripted, but it should have been loosely scripted because you want the personalities, natural personalities, to kind of come out. And I guess that's what acting is, and that's what the script is, a guide. Like, I mean, let's be honest, that's what every script and movie is. But ultimately, you give them the freedom so it comes out all natural, maybe doesn't seemingly seem so wooden. And with amateur actors, that could be the case. And I already see what you're talking about. It opens up. It could be opened up with the show intro. They talk. They do one of the segments, and then it cuts, and then maybe it cuts to them videotaping their them hitting up a couple of the shops, and they can make a joke like, behind the scenes footage.
Right.
We could put this on our Patreon or something like that. And like, who's going to watch this shit? He goes, trust, just fun. He goes, hey, half the fun's the journey, right? Like, just like collectors, half the fun's trying to find the shit. They find the tapes, they bring them back, and maybe there could be like multiple ones. I'm just working off your idea because it is a great idea that they find in a box, which is from possibly one house. And this movie's just one tape, so that you always have the ability to come back and say there's multiple tapes or whatever.
For sure.
So you pop it in, and then the found footage, then it just takes over, and it's just what is on that tape.
Well,
or will it come back and they interact? Does the tape end? Do they pop another one in? Are they like, what the fuck are we doing here? But like, sometimes
we could figure out.
Yeah.
We could stop it. We could either the gimmick
Stop
of
it!
I feel. Here's what the gimmick of the show is. I'm trying to figure out if there's a show like this. My guess is that if someone's showing something, they are not just going to blindly put it in and just watch it, because what if it's terrible? What if there's somebody that's doing this for a YouTube show, they're going to put it in. They're going to view it by themselves.
Just a tip.
What's that?
Just a tip.
Oh yeah, that too. And they're going to write things down, like jokes they can put in. They're going to make it a presentation. You're not going to watch the whole Bob Beaver's Downtown Christmas, because it's a 90-minute movie. But you're going to take excerpts from that and discuss it and say, oh, look at this. And you're going to point things out about the movie. So ordinarily, however, this is the gimmick. When you first get the videotape, if you're hosting the show, the first time you put anything in, it's blind. So you put it in because you want to have a true experience with the viewers. This is your natural reaction to this. So just like the first 5 minutes are going to be that. You experiencing it and just making a comment. And then after 5 minutes, that's when you cut it off and then say, now that's a preview for next show or whatever. Next show we'll get into this and I'll present, I'll present this, and then we can do it that way. But part of the fun is you want to take those listeners or the viewers on the journey with you of actually putting in this phantom videotape and seeing what's on there, because it could be anything on there. So that's the fun of it. But of course, you're not going to watch the whole thing. So I guess you put in the first 5 minutes, and then we see that, okay, what's going on here? This is pretty interesting, guys. Maybe we should stick with this. This is not a regular thing. This is an actual home movie, and I'm kind of intrigued. Let's watch a little more and then see, and then put it back in, and then we can react to it or something,
So,
but that's it.
When you're doing the opening too, it's reaction video. Like it would be like 2 frames like we see here of us, and then like the movie in the middle or the movie at the bottom, like there. Maybe. So that kind of like with the trend of reaction videos, which fucking have gained major popularity in the last few years, eh? Like people listening to an album for the first time, people watching a show or a movie for the first time, or a preview. You're not watching the preview, they're watching it. Sometimes they put the preview there. Sometimes you're just watching the reactions, literally watching the reactions. Blows me away. But anyway, interesting. Hey, yeah, I like it.
I think it would work, right? I think it would, and again, you're filling in like at least 25% of your length of the movie doing that, and that's the easy part. Then you just got to find people for an hour to act in a found footage movie. You can say, well, these kids are trying to make a horror movie in this broken down place that's been shut down or whatever. And then
why don't we make it like Demons?
To make a horror movie. Huh?
Why don't we make it like Demons, where you put in the video instead of it being a movie, that it actually sort of manifests itself into reality. So at the end, these guys are haunted by whatever or killed by whatever killer is on that fucking tape. Or is that taking it to a level that you can either keep it strict grounded in reality, or you can have it like do the manifest.
I think it's too hard to do that. Now you got to talk about special effects and this and that. And I think it's easier to have it one setting.
That's half the fun. Well, it is. It's still one setting. Think about it. Whatever happens in the movie, and then all of a sudden, like you hear a noise or whatever, you're like, what the fuck? And one of it could be a quick, like you just go tilt it that way, and then there's someone standing there, and then done. Splat of blood very quickly onto the screen.
That
and then the next host is left like going like, what the fuck? Like, I'm going to transfer this to my phone. I hear something. I'm going to call the cops or whatever. And then the whole end becomes that last part. Actually, to be honest, I'm stealing my own ending for the movie that there's the Exploding Heads horror podcast movie. It doesn't have to be that way because it's your fucking idea. It's your fucking idea. I'm just trying to work on.
No, this is what we do.
Ideas. Yeah.
This is how we do it, man. This is how we come up with ideas. We sit down, we hash it out, we come up with whatever it is. Ultimately, as long as we can do it on the cheap, and we have to do as much as possible in the movie, because I think we're confident.
I think I could play myself as a podcast host, and if I have to be scared, I could be the first one to die, and then it's very quick.
Yeah, true.
Here's how I'll scream. So let me get in the character. Aye! That's a Canadian scream. It's French. Aye!
Aye, huh?
Yeah, I'm kidding. That's not how I would do it.
Oh, I don't know.
Sure. I'm out.
I don't even know if I never tried to scream. I don't know if I could be a good screamer.
No, I could not.
That'd be about it,
Yeah, you're out too. Where's Carly? Carly?
Right. Yeah.
Fuck Crack-coon or whatever the fuck it is.
Right, Crack-coon. Yes, Crack-coon.
Anyway, no, I love the idea, and I'm not. Trust me, I'm not trying to. It does get the creative juices going. That's when it's always better. This is when it's always better than trying to write something on your own, bouncing it off. This is what we did. Watson and I did that day. We've mentioned it, the day that you couldn't get on. You had technical difficulties. Power went out at your place, and you're out for the count. And this is what we just did now. Hopefully, we can flesh it out. I just think manifest because it really then brings the host back into it and kind of ends it. But then if we've established that there's a box of these videotapes, who knows what that means?
Sure. Why not? Have the opportunity be there. Who knows? Maybe you could start a whole new freaking franchise.
Yeah,
Come up with a good title.
We'll call it VHS.
Yeah, VHS. We can do that. VHS 83.
Yeah, VHS 2023. I'm telling you, I'm sure that's not. We'll call it Amityville VHS.
Oh man, I can't believe there's not an Amityville VHS yet. You're right. Wow. Now here's the question: would you dare put an Amityville in the title, or would you feel bad doing it?
I would not dare do it because I think that we're undermining anything we do, and I
Right.
You're catering to a small demographic that feels the need to check out Amityville Karen, Amityville Shark, Amityville whatever the fuck. And I feel like we're doing a disservice. I wouldn't want to put all that effort in to put Amityville into the fucking title. And when we say on the cheap, we don't mean that there's no blood, sweat, and tears going into it. It just means that there's not a lot of financial obligation that put onto people, or a strain put onto people. It's stuff that can be created with existing technology. I've always said that's the way to do it. And then we also doubled down that the script had way too many characters. The official script had way too many characters. And even though it took place in the forest, it had to have a cabin and this, that, and the other thing. This simplifies it, because this could be the set for me. That could be the set for you. While we're in our place, you go out to a fucking, you go in the car, you're driving down the avenue, you go to a Goodwill or a flea market a couple times. That's all done, close-ups and interact.
And that could be filmed with your phone.
Exactly. Exactamondo. And we put exactamondo into it because I love that fucking term.
There you go.
And it's doable. What you need the location for would be where the bulk of that film works. And then of course you need to make a fake, Bob's Beaver Christmas, whatever the hell it was, Bob's Famous Beaver Christmas.
Yeah.
Then, so you have those segments, but that's still fine. You get someone that whether they're a character, like I know tons of people, I'm sure you do too, that could pull it off, get them into like a nice, I love it. It's actually a great idea.
Well, we could just take freaking anything that we're not going to get sued for, just some freaking public domain shit, and put it in there as if it appeared on a videotape. And it's just like some things that nobody cares about, or some old home movies of our own. We could put them on there. Who's going to know? Who cares? I got tons of home movies from when I was a kid. I could put that on there, and I could cameo as a kid in my own thing, killing a snake or killing Mr. T or whatever the hell I was doing. Mr. Rogers. I killed everybody, So that could be fun. We could put old videotapes in there.
Well, that would be
everybody that was killed or everybody was gay.
I love that stuff because it's the in-joke stuff that is personal to us, and you can make it mean something again. Like we could put my fucking third-year horror film in the scene where the girl gets her head chopped off or whatever. Just that scene. It's my dad and that girl. I don't know if I have the connection to that girl anymore, but she signed an agreement that I'm sure I have somewhere still that I could use her likeness.
And then you can get your father in the movie. Yeah. Think about that.
As a cameo. Cool. I love that
like
stuff.
A tribute.
Yeah.
No, fucking cool.
I love it. And now everybody knows.
My father in the movie too. Well, right.
Perfect. Well, yeah, he should be on the phone for fucking sure. He should be the guy at the Goodwill that sells us the stuff.
Imagine that. He sells it. That would be fun.
I love that. I love that aspect. That again, guys, I understand. I understand the reality of what our show is, and that we cater to a small group, and we're all like one little family here. But I do love putting in jokes that only this little family would really get on the surface, but put it out for mass. To be honest, Kevin Smith kind of did that too. Like he did it, and it ended up becoming a big thing that everybody ended up embracing, so that the in jokes ended up becoming like well known. And so I'm not saying that we're going to go that level. There's found footages here, there, and everywhere, as we were well aware. And this might be a Tubi film. I'm just saying I would still love to do it because that's what I like. I like creating something that, like, the little Easter eggs that are just made for you, me, and Ram Man, Chris A.K. Scott, Jamie, Brian, whoever, all the listeners.
Yeah,
I can list them all, motherfuckers.
Oh, I see JP.
Yeah, romper room it.
Yeah, romper room, hold up the thing. And I say JP. He doesn't even fucking listen.
Yeah, fucking skunk.
Well, he kind of does. He kind of listens. I don't know. I don't know what he does, to be honest with you. But back to this.
Yeah.
Let me this is let me say physical media. All right. This is weird things happen. Like I said, the French Connection, that whole thing, and all you can do is preach. This is why I need physical media, because they're going to keep doing this, and they're going to keep doing this, and they're going to keep taking things out, and you got to buy it. So now, just give me a second here. All right, thank you. Okay, so I noticed this. I don't know what to think about streaming, physical media, and the theater, because I almost get like agitated now, because I spent a lot of time in that found footage horror group. And anytime somebody talks about a movie, and not just there, if you go to any horror group and somebody posts about a movie, one of the first things people are going to weigh in on, they're going to come and they say, where can I watch it? It's always, where can I watch it? Where can I stream it? Nobody, everybody immediately just jumps to, where can I see it? As opposed to, back in the day when either you had it or you didn't. And I'm not against streaming, of course not. I stream a lot. I'm just saying that it's a little agitating when you see that people's response automatically is, where can I stream it? They're not even considering, this is a movie, The Howling, go out and buy it or something. You know what I mean? Everybody say, where do I stream it? So you see a lot of that. So you're like, okay, these people are horror fans, genre fans, and they're just giving in to stream. And I understand it's an expensive hobby if you're going to own everything on physical. I get that too. I'm not saying and people don't have money. I get it. So that's fine. Then you have the physical media thing, and the prices that people are charging up the ass for horror movies. You know what I mean? And you're just like, it's decreasing from Disney and other companies. They're doing less and less now. And you're also you're not seeing any commentaries anymore. Unless it's boutique labels and they're specializing in genre films. Then we get that, but then they're charging us sky high. But it's still disappearing from everywhere else. Like, it's a niche audience now that are watching physical. So streaming is doing what it's doing. It's all over the place. Physical is diminishing, like it or not. It just is. And even when it's not diminishing, if something new comes out, it's either a re-release of something on 4K that was already on Blu-ray, and it's only a tiny improvement, and you're spending more money and you're double dipping, or it's something good just coming out now, and they're charging you $35+ for it, and then you got to be concerned with spending that kind of money. So now there's that and there's that. Now, for a little bit there, we were seeing a lot of things come straight to streaming, or coming like at the same day as theater and everything else. Now I notice that a lot of things are going back into theaters. So people are really concerned about theaters going the way of the dinosaur. It seems like more things are coming to theater. Like that Boogeyman was supposed to be, okay, they decided to bring it out to theater. There's another movie. Oh, you know what it is? It's the new, Terrifier 3 is going to have a theatrical release in the fall of 2024. And now,
with a nice budget, supposedly.
Well, that too. And now, with
a budget that was like the de-aging budget of the Irishman.
Oh, it's a big budget.
I think it's even higher. I think I heard it was either 3 million or 7, because I'm thinking the Irishman de-aging was 3 million, but I think the Terrifier 3 budget was 7. I could be wrong, but it's a significant difference from 250,000. Yeah.
I'm glad that it's happening. But now look at it. Look at this. That Fede Alvarez Alien movie was supposed to come straight to Hulu, and now it's going to get a 2024 theatrical release date. So there's
no, I'm disagreeing with you. But what the turnaround time to streaming is significantly lessened. significantly compared to what it was last time. So now you can be like, oh, I don't know if I could wait. If you're not gung ho about going out to see it, whatever it may be. Like I miss Beau is Afraid. I think Beau is Afraid is now available to stream.
It's dropped.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
So, yeah.
But everybody was like crying foul for a while when some movie theaters were closing, COVID, everything else. So like, oh, this is gonna, if you're not supporting movies in the theater, they're gonna go away. All the streaming is bad news. Meanwhile, it's not so, because things are still coming. It's the thing that's really in jeopardy is physical media, not the theater, because now more is coming to the theater. Like I was almost getting spoiled by it for a while. Everything was coming straight home, and I was like, "Oh, nice!" Like now, like now, what's the new one? Wrath of Becky is going to be coming out this week.
Yeah.
It played like a month ago for probably 2 weeks at some places. That's different. It's a small release. It's going to play there, and then it's going to come home. But I'm talking about, more major releases. They're coming to theaters now. And then, yeah, it is a quick turnaround, but theaters are still, people are still going. Why would they put them to theaters if they weren't going? So I see this as good news, but I also see the streaming thing, like the French Connection and the censoring and stuff like that. It's bad news.
Okay, so here I am on that note. I don't really care about the censorship or the changing. I'm anti-censorship, but what they've done is they've purchased it to put it on their streaming platform. The fact that people are losing sleep on it, I want to understand, did they rent from Blockbuster back in the day? And did they have any problem with the fact that Blockbuster was a Christian company that actually did edit or alter physical media versions to put on their shelves? So that
like Walmart.
Yeah. And so if you had no problem with, well, I had a problem with that back in the day, and that's physical media. Now this is streaming. I'm still not jumping up and down, but do I really care that a couple of lines of dialogue were changed? Like these people were posting it like it was the most, like, I get it. It's art, and I get not being tampered with, but then just go buy this physical media and shut the fuck up. It's, I mean, maybe I'm talking out my ass here. Maybe but I guess I'm just not as passionate anymore, because you've got so many avenues here. They've chosen to do that. I don't think it was a drastic change. It's like talking about making a specific edit. They changed some dialogue around. They put a TV edit version of the dialogue into their version. Oh God, no. But Blockbuster was chopping movies down to fit their agenda back in the day. I can't give specific examples anymore, but I swear I think the Guardian, of really the William Friedkin movie that no one really talks about anymore, that I saw it in the theater, and when I rented it from Blockbuster, I thought it was cut. Now I could be wrong, but I remember it being very much more gooey and gory in the theater. And then when I saw the video version of it that I rented from Blockbuster, I remember it being tame in comparison from my memory, but it could be just a memory thing.
I kind of find it hard to believe that a company like Paramount or CBS Fox or whoever was putting out videotapes at the time would change and edit and do things specifically just for Blockbuster.
Blockbuster was a monster, man. Blockbuster was
I know
a monster.
They were, but
that's why the Netflix takedown is even more glorious in the big picture. And you can blame, like, even if you don't like it, don't get me wrong, I miss going to the video store, but I miss going to the mom and pop video stores.
Of course.
I actually hated going into Blockbuster.
I agree. Well, that's why I didn't go, because what you said about having edited versions, this is my beef with Blockbusters. They never had like hardcore horror movies.
Or the uncut version of them.
That's what I'm saying.
For sure.
So why was I going to go there? Number one, I have mom and pops. And then when Blockbuster took them over, there was still a couple other places that hung around for a while. Then there was Hollywood Video, which they were more liberal about what they showed. So so Blockbuster for me was a last resort. Absolute last resort.
Same.
And it's so funny when I see people lamenting about, having these nostalgic things about Blockbuster all the time. And I'm over here thinking, I don't have any nostalgia for Blockbuster. I mean, you can't help when you came up.
The fluorescent lights, like it just like even glow. Like I know it's such a nitpick, but I remember going to the mom and pop. It was like it was like incandescent. It looked like what I'm behind me right now. And you just went up and I still remember that one that I talked about on the show where, Maniac, and it was the poster that I would see, and just the poster would scare the shit out of me.
For sure. I just,
Oh,
it's just a difference.
that's
Like,
what I miss. Yeah.
we were lucky. We were able to go to those places. People that are younger than us can't help but have nostalgia for Blockbuster because that's all they know. To them,
Yeah.
they didn't have mom and pop shops at their age by the time they came around. So it's like, well, they can't help it. Lucky for us, we were able to see what happened prior. But it's like, yeah, screw Blockbuster. I'm glad Netflix did what they did to them. And now
Took them down. Like, they were a giant.
Yeah.
And so pompous in their beliefs, they were fucking knocked down, man. It was just decimated, destroyed. And
Right.
if people have a problem with Netflix, like, they're at least sticking to their guns. They keep the Dave Chappelle shit, Chris, aka Dave, Chappelle stuff up, and even with all the heat that they're getting from all this group or that group or whatever, they keep that. They put Terrifier was on there way long ago. Now it's on Tubi and all the other streaming things. Like, they've, and they'll produce stuff too. I'm not saying that they're flawless. I mean, they put a lot of money into a lot of their movies that are kind of just generic popcorn, but it's no different than the theatrical ones that were coming out from Hollywood anyway. So you can't really. So they're going to make a $50 million Ryan Reynolds movie. Okay, so be it. If it's either for you or not for you, and go from there. And then there's some smaller ones that get made. That Pale Blue Eye or whatever the fuck it was called from earlier in the year, not the best, but swing and a miss, just inexpensive.
Right.
Swing and a miss. But at least they're trying, and I don't think
sure.
they're altering their films. I mean, it could be fucking wrong, and they don't have everything. We know they license them out, and they go, and that's why you either have to have multiple streaming options, or you have to go by the physical media. Like, Paramount Plus has the Friday the 13th series on it, but I mean, I think I've got a few of the physical media options behind me, just a couple.
But will they censor
you?
I don't. Just a couple.
Well, they censored it way back in the day because they were not about. It was like their embarrassment, as we well know. So it's already
moving forward.
I don't think so.
Will they take out?
Come on.
For example,
those movies now. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm just saying, moving forward now with these streaming companies, because of the French Connection and because of other things we've seen, and because for a fact on Peacock, okay, which has WWE Network on there. It's become their whole thing, right? That's where it is in the States, or North America, I should say. They have removed things straight up from WrestleManias. They've removed controversial, racy things that have been said and other stuff on shows. They've just completely taken it out. Now you can't see it. You can't see Rowdy Piper, WrestleMania. What was it? Whatever it was. When he fought Bad News Brown, and he painted himself half black. Half of himself was white, half of him was black.
Wow,
it was a gimmick.
I mean, that's a sign of the times. I get it. I mean,
I'm just saying, it wasn't meant to be a racist thing, okay? However, all it takes is somebody to interpret something as being something else, or this is that, or this goes against these people, or this goes against this belief, or this and that, and then everything could be censored. Now, because like I said, Peacock's already doing it in that respect. Now you got to collect, and you can't find these things because they weren't released on DVD or anything like that. Unless you recorded them on VHS and you can get bootleg copies, you're not going to see those editions of Raw or pay-per-view.
Well, that becomes, I agree with you there. Like when they're talking about Gone with the Wind, and changing that. You know what? Yeah, I have a feeling they will edit these things or trim these things or put a trigger warning that's 5 pages long before the fucking movie or video to warn people on streaming. And maybe it will get altered. And I don't agree with it, but I'm just saying that's the reality of the sign of the times as that evolves and we evolve as a society. You got to then, if you're a movie buff, own the physical copy. And you can write an angry letter all you like. It's probably not going to change things. And you can get how many of those signature, like petition.org or whatever the fuck it's called, come your way via email, or people post them and say, sign this. How many of those actually change.org or change.com?
Yeah, it is.
How many officially change stuff?
not enough.
Well,
And
exactly.
what can you do? So that's you either have to accept what, and that's the thing. If you rely on streaming, you have to accept what they give you or get out of the way. That's all. But it's just unfortunate that somebody can decide what they want to show and everything else and what the story is, and then people fighting about it. All you have to do is buy the physical. But again, that's
Wash
what you. What's that?
I was just going to washing away history, whether it be in media format, book for whatever, in entertainment media, any style. The reality is that you can't. That's just changing it or forgetting about it. It's actually more harmful. I've said this before. You gotta have that to show how things have changed, how people have evolved, or maybe we haven't, and that's what scares everybody. And you're like, holy shit, nothing really has changed since that time frame. But to whitewash it, as but just to clean it, sanitize it is horrible because that's doing it. Nobody, it's doing a disservice to us, to be honest,
And
and
that's the problem.
to the the people that are fighting the good fight and think that this should be something that needs to be done, and Gone with the Wind should be altered because that portrays a society and race in a certain way. Yeah, it does, because unfortunately at that time or whatever, that was a reality. Why would we change that to forget about it? I
Well,
understand
see,
there's monuments made to people that have been that that maybe weren't the best people. We've had that happen here,
that's
where
fair.
things have been taken down, and over time you realize, wait, this person wasn't great. Why are
Right.
we celebrating them? I can understand that. I
I
can
can too.
understand that. That part I get, but a movie or a book or whatever is history, and you're not erasing their history, you're just taking down that monument, whereas their history and the reality of their life is now for everybody to see and to read or to analyze or to research, whatever it may be. But you're not erasing them, you're just taking down a monument to them because they represented something that wasn't great and that hasn't aged well at all because they were a horrible racist or whatever it may have been. Now,
Mhm.
I get that, but to destroy a movie or book or whatever, unless it's just a book of outright
Well,
racism that nobody knows about, but if it's something
yeah,
that uses
but
the N word because that was a sign of the times, like whatever it may be, Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, like, then I think you just have to realize that you may not like it, but that is a part of history, and we have to evolve from it. That's it.
well,
That's my rant.
you're
That's my soapbox rant for the day
that's great, and I
and this
agree with
week.
you. That's great. No, listen, I'm 100% with you. See, now once upon a time, you might not have thought that. Once upon a time, 3, 4, 5 years back, you might have said, "No, we got to do this. No, we got to do it." Who knows? Over time, things have gotten so extreme on both sides, and I love it because
Yeah.
people are starting to. They're starting to things that they once stood for. Because this happened to me in life. Things that they once stood for, they're starting to see. Oh yeah, I want that, but now you're taking this way too far. This is too much. And I see this on both sides of the equation with lots of issues. But I mean, the way I look at it is this. You either for censorship or you're against it. I've always been against it. And typically horror fans, a lot of
Yeah.
people we know have always been against it. For them all of a sudden to say, well, we got to remove this and we got to remove that. Now I'm like, well, what's happened to you? How come what's the sudden change and what is it gonna why look at it this way? You're going to take it away because that's what was said at the time. And yeah, maybe now it's not, people aren't going to talk that way. And I get like, you're going to watch like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and you're going to see like things said. You're going to see Jeff Spicoli, that scene when they're interviewing Jeff Spicoli talking about those surfers in his dream sequence. And he goes, what about this guy or that guy? And he goes, those guys are fags. And he
Yeah.
laughs. And that's the joke at the time.
Half the
Are you
80s
gonna
movies would be such, half the
well,
dialogue would be cut out.
are you going to erase that? And should it be erased? I don't think. And I think that
No.
most homosexual people, I don't think that they care so much about that. I can't say. I just don't think that everybody's as uptight as some groups want to make them out to be. And that's just is what it is. And it's just like, I was listening to a podcast recently, and the guy on it is Conan. He's a wrestler. He's a Mexican legend, right? Latino, of course. So he was talking about, and basically his comment was something. He goes, somebody did something, somebody got uptight about something. I forgot what it was, and it had to do with Latinos. And he said something, he goes, man, and he goes, I'm so tired of freaking Anglos getting offended for us. And he goes, you want to support us? That's great. That's awesome. We love you for it, but it's okay. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's just like, so, and I know this to be
Well,
a fact for other people that I talk to, different races, different sexual orientations.
we've said
A
on the
lot of
show.
them
I
are
agree.
thinking that a lot of regular straight white folks are going way too far. And I'm
Absolutely.
not saying that the other side is any better, because they piss me off too. When I put up a picture of a Zuni fetish doll and I say, who is this right answers only? And somebody comes in and says, Kamala Harris, and somebody else comes on and says George Floyd, I think that's kind of an ignorant response.
No.
I don't like that either.
Why? I don't want anybody being offended for me. That's and
No.
that's what it's turned into.
Yeah.
It's become the, like everything we've talked about, extreme. And I'm not for censorship. I'm just saying, like, Disney is an empire that is going to be hard to, and they put a TV version of a line as part of their movie. And I'm not saying that's great, but in the big picture, I don't really give a fuck, because there's way worse things. If they started saying, oh, we edited down aliens, or we Friday the 13th, we took the R-rated version of it and we're actually trimming it down a bit more because we don't like the act. That's the stuff that would drive me crazy.
Well, yeah. What if they take out the scene when the guy chops the snake? Not that I like that scene. I actually look away when it happens, but it's still somebody butting in and changing something that was already made. It's like, we used to always hear about the books burning and what a terrible thing it was, and witchcraft, and the way they did things, and right. And we used to always say the books are going to burn. Don't do it. It's going to happen someday. And sure enough, now it is happening. People should, if we have freedom of speech and freedom of all this stuff in this country, people should be able to say what they want to say. Should Mein Kampf be burnt? I'm not going to support it or read it, but I also don't think that I say that every copy of that book should be burned. Who am I to say? It's already been in print for all these years. So be it. There's going to be hate mongering always. There's always going to be somebody against something. You can either be offended by it and try to put an end to it, or you can ignore it, like I do. Why give them the attention that they crave? And that's something else people don't realize.
Well, again, we can't. I know society wants everybody to be the same, and we can't. Whether it's a political difference, a religious difference, you can never get unified, because everybody's got a different belief system. So,
right,
at the end of the day, it's all, they're going to have hate, and we might even need hate, because we need to combat it in a sense over time. So I again, maybe I'm actually being hypocritical, or arguing one thing about the blockbuster thing, but saying it's fine for Disney. But it's not. When I saw what Disney did, I'm not for it, but it's hardly. Again, it's a version of the movie that exists. They used a TV cut. I'm still not 100% for it, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal in the big picture. I don't.
No, I don't think any of it is.
I was put on a pedestal and whatever. And you're right, because if they start editing out, like, fag has become a word that nobody uses anymore. It's the next F word, and the reality is that a lot of 80s and 90s movies, even into the 2000s, as we proved, were using it. Just like Eddie Murphy's Delirious would have to be banned for life.
Well, yeah, of course, 100%. But the thing is, maybe you see it differently. What we see in public, I see it differently too. I see it the way you do. But it's like my daughter always tells me, nothing's changed at her high school. Everybody still uses racial slurs, and everybody still uses homophobic slurs. She says, that's what she tells me. And she says that gay kids get made fun of at her school. So, and she has gay friends, and she's actually into that scene to a degree. So she's like, but she goes, even if I was gay, I'd never let anybody know, because then people are going to mess with me. And I'm like, really? This day and age? I thought they'd be celebrated. He's like, no. She goes, I hear racial slurs. I hear the N-word from the middle schoolers on the bus.
Oh,
and I hear, fag and whatever, and other homophobic things, and that's still going on. I think that the media and adults in this world think that they've made a real change,
because
but a
it's
lot of
taboo.
times,
Yeah.
what's going on behind exactly what
It-
it's always been this way since the beginning of time.
why
Kids
do
are
I
going to do what's wrong.
why do I talk like the way I do? I talk about it because you weren't allowed to say fuck or shit when I was young. So at recess, it was fuck, shit, fuck, shit, fuck, shit. And
Right.
my parents would have had a heart attack
Of
hearing how
course.
I spoke, but I didn't use those terms. I'm not saying I've like never say never, but I'm just like I used the term fact before. Yeah, probably, and whatever in the past. I haven't and don't, and it's just. But I don't get offended to the degree because again, I think history plays itself. I've watched plenty of stand-up comedy and movies with it, and that's a part of history. And again, if I was gay, I would be offended that they were trying to erase it from history because that's the fight that they had to do to get us here. We all, well, I wasn't really part of
Right.
the fight, but
No,
society,
I hear you.
specifically the gay society, had to fight. This is what I think Chris Rock is fighting against, or was saying in his comedy specials to a degree. They had a fight. They earned that respect and they earned that change and whatever. And nowadays it's just like people latching onto it and thinking there's no fight involved. Now, should there be a fight? Maybe not. Maybe everybody should just be accepted normally, but there are some things that we can't just accept mentally like a light switch. Like maybe there are people out there that just can't see transgender. I'm not saying I'm one of them, but I'm saying it's a little harder to swallow maybe for some people than being gay. We like maybe they just accepted gay, and now they're like, "What the
Right.
fuck's happening over here? What am
Well,
I
right.
like?" And again, I'm sort of
It's a big
speaking
difference.
generally. Why is it that everybody has to accept everything because you do? That's
Right.
like saying we all have to think the same way. It's
Well,
never fucking going to happen. And God forbid it happen because then we all just like be carbon copies of one another. I'm not saying you need hate, but you need difference of
no.
opinion for life.
Well, it's too extreme is what's happened. Like I said earlier,
Well, that's
everything's
it.
gotten too extreme. It's like, for example, I was at my mother's house the other day, and there was a conversation happening. Somebody knows somebody where some people may not like to hear this, but they're allowing their 6 or 7 year old. I forgot what it was, either born female or born male, to identify as another gender at a very young age. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are like, that's taking it too far. Apparently, they're going to have very liberal parents that are really pushing this. And in the past, this wouldn't happen. And they don't even know what's going on. It's too early to do
That's
that. And it's making people
I
uncomfortable. And
well,
I
again,
think
I kind of
it's a
agree
little
with
extreme.
I agree with that. I mean, that's my viewpoint, right or wrong.
See?
6 fucking years old, you don't know
Right.
fucking shit. You don't know anything.
Right.
Teenage years, that's when early adulthood. That's when you
Yes.
could kind of like, hey, wait,
Agreed.
I've noticed I've been like this all my life. You can't start
Right.
doing it. I think that's the parents almost putting it on the kid.
That's what I'm
Again,
saying.
my belief, my
They're
thought process. Am I
extreme.
right? Am I wrong? I
Yeah.
don't know, but I believe I'm right. In this case, I'm not putting that on my fucking son or my kids.
Oh,
That's
and
for
it's
them to
no
figure out.
different. And
I
it's no
hate them for it.
different.
No, of course not. But I'm not putting it on them. That's for them to
No,
fucking figure out. And I'm not
later
saying I
on.
have nothing to do with. If they said, "Hey, Dad, I'm feeling this way," okay, then we have a fucking discussion, a family discussion.
It it's
But
just like if you're an extremist in some other way, and as a result, your 6 or 7 year old is saying racist things.
that's, I was just about to say that. Dad, you know what I hate? I hate the Asian. What?
Yeah.
Son, you're Korean.
Anyway, to
Like,
get a
I'm like, what? Yeah, you're right. Like, where does that come from? It either comes from home or from friends. And from friends usually gets questioned. You bring it home, and then it's either supported or it's like, hey, wait a second. What the hell, man? Like, but you're right. It's no different. They
yeah,
they
it's
heard
sad.
something, they saw something on TV. They're impressionable at that age. They don't know what the hell's going on.
No.
They cannot at that age think like, that's what I'm saying. It's plagued me for a bit. Think of pedophilia and how horrible that is. I think we're going to get to an age where we're going, oh, it's just a disease and it's okay because they don't know any better. And that's just a disease with them. And the kids don't know. Like, it's going to get turned into, it's all going to get washed into this down the road. It's way too early to make that comment now, but I'm telling you, that's where it's headed, where they're going to be like, oh, it's okay. It is a disease, but they're sick individuals that typically can't be cured, that we've noticed from trends in the past.
Right.
Like, again, so everybody says I'm like, I think I've come across as pretty liberal in my viewpoints on this show and whatever. But this is where I'm like, no, they got to be locked away, not in prison because that doesn't know well, but in a hospital. And I don't think they should be allowed back into society. Or if they are, it's got to be a very controlled environment. And I think that's sort of what happens today. But I've heard horror stories where they feel like they've been cured or whatever, and they haven't been.
Right. Well, see,
and everybody's individual. It's an individual process. We can't just group everybody in the same way. And of course, that's the other thought process. Everybody's grouped in the same way. So one way we're trying to fix things, but in other ways we're still trying to say they're all the same here.
Well, see, that's it. And just like you, what's happening, the things you're thinking of now are just things that because it's so extreme now, but I feel like I saw the trend coming maybe 5-6 years ago. And that it was happening to me, like, because I typically in the past have always been liberal too, but I started seeing this and this happen. And I'm like, okay, I'm not agreeing with these people about this thing, and I'm not agreeing with people about this. And I saw like it coming already. Now it's like they're shooting themselves in the foot because it's gotten too extreme in so many ways. Just like this movie, Nefarious. Have you seen Nefarious?
Is it recent?
Yeah, it's this year, 2023 horror movie. Yeah,
no,
and it's good.
Okay,
it's very good. Well, people are complaining.
I saw one a couple years ago that was garbage.
Oh no. People are complaining because they're saying that it's coming off very Christian conservative, and this, and this. And
oh yeah, I did hear about it, but I haven't seen it. Yeah, okay.
Let me explain something to you. The demon in this movie, without spoiling, the demon. There's such thing as demons, and there's such things as angels. They exist. There is religion. There is a God. There is a devil. Okay, it's just like any type of movie like this, that supernatural, exorcist, whatever it is, these things exist in the realm of this. Now, a demon is quoting scriptures because it comes from the same thing. It's the opposite of that, but it believes that what's in the scriptures is in the scriptures. So when a demon says that these three things are considered murder to God and to him, tell me if these three things make it sound like it's ultra conservative. These are the three things. Number one, neglect of an elderly person in a home and not helping them get what they need to survive. So in a way, you're aiding for them to die quicker. If you have a parent or something like that, that eventually causes death. That is one way of somebody where a demon says you murdered somebody because that happened. Another demon says something like, somebody had an abortion. That's a murder of somebody. You committed another murder. And the other one was somebody got put to death via the electric chair. Capital punishment. That's considered murder. You're extinguishing life.
They've hit both sides. It's balanced.
Thank you.
It's totally balanced in the thought process.
This is what I'm angry at. They're only focusing on the one thing about the abortion. Yeah. And then at the I don't want to give anything away, but this demon can hop like any other demon. It can possess whoever. Okay?
Jason Goes to Hell style?
It possesses a white person, a white male.
That talks jive?
No. Okay. He's just a white male who's been accused of murder. Okay? The demon is inside this poor bastard. Okay? Now, so this person is the one that's portrayed as the devil. There is a point in the movie where somebody else, a black female homeless person, also gets a devil in them. And because that happens,
anally,
they're saying that this movie is saying two things. Number one, that it's that it's ultra conservative because it preaches against abortion, and that it's racist because it's saying that a black female homeless person is the devil.
Well, that's so
Makes sense
weird.
to you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I have to
Thank you.
see the film to see, but the way you presented it seemed like it was balanced, and it
Well,
was
those are
just
the
saying murder,
facts.
murder is murder, and the even the idea of a devil or a demon, the devil was a fallen angel. So why wouldn't he have these ties to the ultra religious sort of foundation?
Right.
So again, that's how I've seen it based on your description. I'll have to watch
Right.
the movie now to interpret it my way. But it sounds like it was balanced. But again,
Well, see,
to see,
I watched the movie, and that's what I took from it. It was just, okay, this makes sense that they have these beliefs, because I'm not going to get into political beliefs. I'm just saying that it makes sense from that perspective that they consider all things murder. Whether I do is another story. I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying that if you're consistent, and anytime you're extinguishing any life at the hands of something that isn't natural, you would think that if there is a God and if there is this, they would frown upon it. But anyway, so be it. It stays the course. It makes sense to me that all three are considered, as a form of murder. But that's what I'm saying. All it takes is one thing there. And I'll watch the movie and say, I watched the movie and I thought it was a great movie. And then I saw things online about it, and people were making it sound like it was a puff piece for Christian conservativeness. Like it was like really bad. Like you're watching, like Left Behind or whatever one of those religious things are. And it's not that at all, but people only see what they want to see.
interesting.
And I haven't said anything online because I won't, and I wanted to respond so bad, but I didn't. I'll say it here on the show, but because that's the way I feel. I think it's very unfair that people have tunnel vision and just see it that way. But watch Nefarious and tell me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think anyone's accused me of leaning right. Maybe I've opposed things on the left as equally as I have the right, but that's because the left has been so loud for the past 10 years.
Both sides have been fucking loud, and that's
Right.
it's, you get the extremes.
Right.
And usually, like I said, this is why it can't just be one thing, because I have thought processes that lean either way. That should
Right
be,
on.
in my opinion, that seems more normal.
Agreed. Thank you. Right. But
A little bit more anyway. I don't know, normal maybe.
yeah.
But anyway, like it's heated. I don't even know. Like sometimes I listen back to this, I'm like, oh, I didn't finish or I didn't articulate a point well. You know what? When I hear this back or when I edit it, if I feel like there's something that was kind of left undone, maybe we'll bring it up next show. But I think we're in agreement. And again, and I think we both agree. You've always said it. You've been saying it for years now. Of everything's gone to extremes on both sides. Both sides. And you summed it up. You summed it up long ago, and I agree with that. But why don't we talk movies?
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I want to test something out. This has to do with the Halloween franchise. I want you. Now, I wrote something down here. Look, I'm going to leave my phone right there.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to leave my phone right there. Something? I'm going to hold up my hands. So you see, I'm not going to cheat. Okay. I'm going to ask
Michael Myers is a racist. Yes, he's white. And he's,
I want to know, could you tell me everyone that's played Michael Myers? And I'm going to ask you each movie, and you tell me what the answer is, because I believe that you're in the same ballpark as me. And I'll get to the point in a second. Who played Michael Myers in Halloween 1?
Nick Castle or Tony Moran or something. His name or something. All right.
Number 2.
Dick Warlock.
Okay. Number 4.
Number 4 is not Don Wilbur something. I forgot his name.
George P. Wilbur. Okay.
Wilbur. Okay. I had the last time.
Yeah, Number 5.
Don Shanks.
Okay. Number 6.
Number 6 is Curse. I'm not sure of Curse, actually.
Okay. Number 6 is George P. Wilbur again. He came back.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. Well, so my point's dead now. But hold on now. I figured you'd know that anyway. But let's continue on. H2O, who played Michael?
I don't know anymore.
Okay.
Because of those fucking eyes.
Okay. Resurrection, who played Michael?
I think the same guy
Okay.
from H2O. He's like some TV actor guy. But I
Okay.
forgot his name.
Rob Zombie's 2 movies. Who played Michael?
Oh, Kane. Oh fuck. I fucking interviewed the guy when we did postmortem radio. Wolverine. Not Wolverine. He's on Taylor Kane or Wayne or Wong.
Tyler Maine. But still, you had the idea. You knew what was going on. You knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And you knew that he was in the thing. Okay. So, and finally, the last trilogy.
Fuck. I know Nick Castle came back for some close-ups. I actually don't know who the new guy is.
Yeah, I could understand not knowing him. I think his name is Jude Courtney or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way, it's newer, so it's not the same. Well, I wrote this down here. Look, I wrote that you would know everybody except for this.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, you're wrong.
Because I don't think, I don't know Michael and H2O and Resurrection, and I don't know who else does. It seems like whoever played Michael in those movies is never discussed. Isn't that weird? It just occurred to me yesterday. I was like, isn't that weird that I know I can name every Michael?
Yeah, I think I looked it up when I was rewatching them. I believe it's the same guy for H2O and Resurrection. Idea. But he's like, yeah.
We covered the franchise. How do we not know? We didn't talk about who played Michael in freaking. That is so weird.
It is weird.
I'm going to have to look it up. Who played Michael in H2O? I don't think it's the same person.
I could do it. I could look it up while you're.
I don't think it's the same person. I'll look up H2O. You look up Resurrections. How's that?
Resurrections.
Yeah, Resurrections. Michael Myers, H2O actor. Let's see who it is. Okay, it doesn't say. Who played Michael Myers in H2O? Chris Durand.
And the Brad Lorre is Michael Myers in Resurrection.
There you have it.
Brad Lorre is the one I was thinking of.
People forget about him.
Yeah.
Either way, I just realized that H2O and Resurrection, nobody knows who played Michael. Not nobody. I didn't, and I knew that you wouldn't.
I have a feeling, and I might be way off on this, but somehow it's up in here that there's multiple people that played him in H2O. But I could be
think
wrong.
So. No, there was some weird thing. There was an H2O. There was a CGI mask at one point. Yeah. There was something else. There was a different mic. You're right. I believe there was like at least 2 people. Either way.
But more importantly, who played Frankenstein or the Frankenstein's monster in the Bride of Frankenstein?
Well, Karloff.
Of course. We know that. Who cares who fucking Michael was in H2O? But you're right. It brings up a good point because that's actually a more popular one. I don't tend to like it that much. It's okay, but I don't like it. And I'll watch it, but I always get annoyed while watching it. It just bugs me.
Which
I don't
one?
know what. H2O. It's not like as much as Resurrection bugs me, but it still bugs me. I think they had all the right ingredients to make that epic, and they still fumbled it.
I love the last battle. I love the scene. There's some things I like about it. Some of the, tributes to the earlier films and to Psycho and other stuff I thought was fine and whatnot. I mean, for a slasher made in 1998, post Scream and all that, I prefer it to like other stuff like Urban Legend and like freaking whatever the hell else.
I like rewriting. You know what? I actually think I prefer Urban Legend to it. I like rewriting history, as you probably know by listening to the show and us talking about the movies for so long. I don't mind that she left Haddonfield. That makes sense. I think she should have left Haddonfield though and not had a son and wanted to go into hiding and not have to have a burden of anybody else in case she's been haunted by Michael for so long, in case Michael came looking for her, which he ends up doing. What has Michael been doing for 20 years? Taxes? What the fuck's he been doing? Just hiding out? I'm out and about. I feel like stalking again and I found out where the nurse lives. I like how they incorporated the nurse in Donald Pleasance because Donald Pleasance was gone in real life. So they couldn't CGI him like they did in the new ones. So they got an actor. Sorry, I forgot they got an actor. They didn't feel like they're going to go that route. They wanted to respect his memory. So they used his voice or a voice actor to emulate it, and they brought the nurse. I can respect that aspect in the opening. I think they could have bridged it a bit better. Had her without a son. Maybe she has a favorite student that's turning 17 to use that motif and whatever. And
Yeah.
just built it a little bit more epic. Like it felt like everything was muted a bit. The theme, the Michael Myers boogeyman aspect, the mask was dread fucking full. I
Yeah.
mean, it just, but it had elements. It had some good elements, and there's a couple of good deaths. So I'm not saying it's a stinkeroo, but it could have been so much more. And I think the potential was there, and it just failed. That's I guess where my shortcomings of the movie come. And every time I watch it, it feels like those shortcomings are amplified, or there's like a spotlight on them. But then Resurrection is just such a low. And with with Brandon not here to argue that it's better than some of the ones like Crazy Talk, like that is the lowest of the low. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. I tried it a second time, and it just feels like a direct-to-video film.
Yeah,
like
take like one of the movies tonight.
Okay, same type of thing. But so you have to set your expectations for that going into it. Where Resurrection coming to the theater and boasting Jamie Lee Curtis and everything else, you're like, okay,
H2O, yeah, H2O.
You know what I mean? You're expecting something grander, but in fact, it's just an overblown freaking direct-to-video movie with the cool beginning with Jamie Lee Curtis and everything else. So it's like, but ultimately, that's all it is. That movie could have been anything.
That movie should have been what we said on the show. It should have been, since they got Rick Rosselló back that directed part 2, it should have taken place in the mental hospital. Jamie Lee Curtis is there. The screen time that they used with her in that first 50 minutes practically could have been pushed to be the whole movie, and it could have ended with her dying and then Michael just going off into the woods and going home.
Right on. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. and again, although she, I think, came back as a favor, just take that first 15 minutes and sprinkle it out. Maybe need one more scene or with her in it, and then make that the epic climax, and have Michael Myers, instead of stalking a hospital, he's stalking the psych ward or psych hospital.
It would be great. I'm with you, man. 100%. They should have done that.
No,
that's silly. But they always got to get teens in there somehow, and they got to, I don't know.
Just like Jason Goes to Hell to me, the opening, even if you don't like the opening with the SWAT team and whatever, still is much more enjoyable than the rest of the film, in my opinion. So why not just have them Rambo style, kill the SWAT team for the duration of the movie, and they get blown up at the end, and you're like, well, how the hell he's not coming back to that? Then he's officially gone to hell. They could still have thrown on that Freddy glove ending if they wanted. Again, rewriting history is what I do best.
That movie. No,
hindsight.
And I don't know if I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show when we did it, but Jason Goes to Hell in the beginning, when all that one happened, and then they blew him up and all that stuff, and then those lights came on. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but the first time I saw the movie, you know what I thought it was? I thought it was a movie set, and that they were basing a movie on Jason Voorhees. And
that would have been cool.
It had turned into a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like a movie within a movie.
Meta before meta.
Well, yeah, but because the lights came on, and I was picturing like a movie, like a set. That's why they had those lights there. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, why could they have just ambushed him in the dark?
I don't know.
I agree with you. Okay, hit the lights. Talk to you.
I thought it was a movie, and someone was going to come up and say, "Cut, we got him," and they did. They came over and they go. But legit, that's what I thought it was going to be.
Clean up this mess.
When are they going to get to the movie part? What is this? And then it goes to the corner, and then I'm like,
And then he wolfs down a heart
for no fucking reason. That's the worst part of all.
No, they didn't even put HP sauce on it or A1 or anything. Just straight up black beating heart. A la carte.
Give me a reason to eat a heart. Give me a reason. You don't just sit there and do it. You know what I mean? Just something.
It was supposed to have like it been. He's like transfixed. He's being like hypnotized into like the beat.
The heart hypnotized him.
Anyway,
that's
why
where
the fuck are we talking about that? Although, be honest, he exists because of who we're going to be talking about tonight. The original Jason, Frankenstein's monster.
There you have it. Good call. Good segue. You're right.
And we are going to be talking about tonight the Bride of Frankenstein. There's no need to put this in black and white because with the snap of my fingers, it's done. It'll be done in post, but it'll be done.
You serious?
Yeah, I'll just do that later.
For me too?
Yeah, of course. It'll be nice and easy. We're black and white, everybody.
Hey.
Now, The Bride of Frankenstein, we're talking about The Bride of Frankenstein, 1935. Of course, directed again by James Whale, inspired, based upon whatever it may be on Mary Shelley's book, and of course, starring Boris Karloff and a new Elizabeth. And that's pretty much what will lead into it. And I'll just say this has been heralded as the best sequel one of the best sequels in history. I don't know about that, but I will say it takes the elements of the original and amplifies them like any follow-up or sequel should.
Yes, sir.
I think it is heads and tails better, but I was a little worried about you in one scene. And I want to know, you said yes, sir. So I guess you agree that you thought it was better in every which way.
Yeah. Let me see what scene will we have.
There's a Dave Z scene that I thought, oh God, this is going to be too silly for Dave.
No, whatever it wasn't too silly for me, except the fact that I think they might have played the hand a little too strongly with how quick he's so good at talking. And on top of it, why he needs to eat. Why would he need to eat?
Yeah, I know. It's no different than like why Jason takes breath. Why Kane Hodder's Jason, that we know him as, breathes, like body breathes. And you're like, well, why does, like Vince has always said, why does he need to draw breath? He's dead. He's a zombie. You're
right.
Yeah, you're right, man. Why did I never think of that? Why does Frankenstein eat? Maybe it's no different. And maybe this is where maybe Romero took inspiration from, that it's just memory from the undead needing to eat. Why do they need to eat? Because it's something that they do. It's memory. Why do they go to the mall? Why do they learn to talk? It's a lot of what Romero did in his undead films kind of stems from here. He learns, he kind of evolves, even though he's dead. That part is great. I get what you're saying. The transition might be quick, but again, it's funny, I'm about to say things move quicker back then, which is not necessarily the case, but maybe they needed to get the idea from A to B quicker. This movie definitely feels faster paced. I think it's just a sign of 4 more years of movie making gone by. 4 more years at that time could be a lifetime. The jump from even the titles to the sound design to the cuts and action and music throughout, heads and tails above. And the effects work of the thing I thought you'd find too silly is the mini creations that Dr. Patoris created. I thought you might thought that jumped the ship a little too much.
As I'm watching it, I'm watching with my wife, and I'm
jump
like,
the shark, jump the ship. Yeah.
That was a note that I said, is that too far? Did they go too far with that? I'm thinking, if this guy has this power to create life into these little people and make them these characters, isn't that that's almost like better? It's more impressive than making a Frankenstein's monster, I think. Like, if you were to present that to science, who cares that they're small? I mean, if you could create life this way and then have a king and a queen and this, and they're actual, and they have those high voices, it was a little, and I was going to ask you if you thought the same thing. So it just seems I don't even know if that was necessary. I almost feel like they could have. It was honestly, it's a cool trick for the time. That's probably why they did it. The using of probably
It's played on
giant
the God complex too. I
yeah
think that's exactly it. Like, I mean, we could create, and we could create like new worlds or new societies almost. Very ambitious. And it's funny because when you think of movies that came, for instance, Dr. Pretorius, they use the name, of course, in From Beyond. I'm sure
yeah
they use the name in many other movies that I'm not coming to my mind right now.
right
That was cool. Then you think of Bride of Reanimator. He wasn't just happy bringing people back from the dead. He wanted to create new life. So they literally took this aspect from it for Bride of Reanimator as well. I all these things that you
sure
think about when you go back to this movie. Uh, but I do like Karloff's portrayal, like of him speaking and him meeting the blind guy. It's very emotional. And
agreed
and,
sad
and Frankenstein cries in this too.
right that too. I'm like
But
I mean, I just accepted it.
right from the get-go, it's all the franchises that came out in the 80s and whatever, like I'm talking from Halloween, from evolving to the sequels, and Friday the 13th starting in 80 and everything, took it from here. Literally, the monster doesn't die. They show a death at the end of Frankenstein. He obviously is trapped, and he comes back and to wreak more havoc. And it's just everything's upped in this one. The body count is upped, even though you
Yep.
don't see extreme violence, but there's a lot more that happens. Uh,
Yep.
and of course, some things that would probably been horrific back in the day come across as funny, but funny in a great way. Like when he tosses the woman to her death.
I loved it.
Like it's fun. You love
Yeah.
it. You can't help but laugh, but it's great.
Yeah.
So
Right away, too. Two
Yeah.
kills right off the bat. And and very Friday the third. Okay. Meta to begin with the opening, doing that whole thing with Mary Shelley and all that stuff is very
Yes.
cool. And
Yeah.
it leads into a Friday the 13th thing that they did later with let's recap the audience with what happened in the last movie.
Yep.
That was cool. They didn't used to do that. I mean, were there sequels before this? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not going to pretend that I do know. But this does what a sequel's supposed. You took the words out of my mouth. 100%. This does what a sequel's supposed to do. It ups this and ups that. It elaborates a little more on the characters, and it does what it does. And for that, it's great. Now I really enjoy it. James Whale was great, man. It's
Well, he was already talented, but
yeah.
you could just see the evolution happen. Like,
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. The fact that Henry Frankenstein gets thrown off of a fucking windmill, then he goes home and he's in bed, and then he's out again that very night to go hang out with Dr. Pretorius. He drags him out of bed. I'm like, how the hell? This guy's as strong as fucking the monster himself.
That's serial. Like that's like the old serials or whatever, like back in the day. That's rewriting history in a sense, but a good could they have done it just I think they needed him because of course it's paralleling his bride and everything else. So you kind of need to have that. I was interested. I'm like, that doesn't seem like the Elizabeth we saw last
I
movie.
looked it up.
And I had to look it up too. Same with me.
Yeah.
Right away.
And
then,
that Hans guy who was carrying his dead daughter, there was a different Hans.
Yeah, different Hans.
Hans. Did the old man die in the first one? I can't remember. Frankenstein, the Baron.
Oh,
the guy
I know
so much.
I know we just watched it, and I honestly can't. I don't think he did. I don't
either. So where is he? He's not at the castle. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe I guess the other person kind of took over his role. That one woman.
Well, she was a comic relief. Like she would be.
She took over.
Yeah, she would do all the wide eyes. I think that's what they instilled here. Again, a sign of not just like not necessarily horror, but films evolving of comic relief. So you're playing in the horror realm, but you've got a little bit of relief here, but in a good way. And she did it well with the fainting and the reaction. There was one part where she's like, like it was so over the top, but again, sign of the times. And what a great line that, we all know gods and monsters. And it's just it's cool when you go back to visit these movies to see like, shit, yeah, I mean, I knew it came from these old movies, but to play it all to a world of gods and monsters.
Yeah, it's great. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. And how about the famous line, she's alive, alive,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, that's it.
Weird science.
It's a well, so many things, and the fact that the mate, or that she doesn't even, like, this all happens within minutes of the finale of the film. Like, that's the finale, Bride of Frankenstein, but yet it really is a true continuation of Frankenstein's monster terrorizing the community, befriending somebody,
Yeah.
getting found out, and when he learns how to smoke.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He smokes so
Alone.
much.
Oh, he just goes crazy on the thing. Alone, bad. Friend, good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny that you hear fire bad. I wonder when fire bad, because I know he hates fire, but he actually never says fire bad. Not yet, anyway. When that became such a cliche line when they were doing parody of Frankenstein. So I wonder if it becomes a line that has been said later, because we all know fire bad, but he doesn't like fire. No, he doesn't like fire. So I was waiting for him to say the line, but he never actually says fire bad. He just goes, and he's like, no, fire good, and for smoke. But then the whole house goes up in flames later. So fire is bad.
Yeah. Well, see, it keeps happening to the poor bastard. Right. Fire is bad to him. And the guy said good and bad, he says.
Yeah.
That's what the blind man said, which is true. It is good and bad, depending on what it's used for. Like anything.
I love how he wants him to play the violin, pushes the violin on him, and he grabs his seat to sit down to listen like a little kid.
Yeah, it's great. He grabs that seat. Yeah.
There's all these little nuances that are really good with the character. That's all Karloff. Like, I guess, instead of just being under makeup and just acting menacing, he was given a lot more to do in this movie as well. Like,
definitely. Yeah, he's great. He
brings
great.
a lot of personality to it.
He has a name. At the beginning of the movie, it says Karloff, where before it said the monster question mark. Like in this one, it says the bride of the monster or whatever. It says, but did it say bride?
Yeah, it's his mate, the mate.
Yeah, monster's mate.
Yeah,
question mark. But I figured it out who it was when I got to the end.
It's Mary Shelley. It's the one that plays Mary Shelley.
Yeah, because Mary Shelley in the beginning, I'm like, man, this girl's pretty. Look at this girl. And then at the end, the Bride of Frankenstein is pretty and looks like her. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That's got to be her. And then I looked it up, and sure enough, it was.
But Frankenstein as a monster is iconic. Now, they did something. They either like kind of Freddy Kruegered his makeup and maybe streamlined it a bit. I actually think he does look better in this one. I think it's because he's supposed to be slightly burned or washed out. That iconic hairstyle, man. Like,
it's awesome.
We all know it. It's a fantastic design, and it just makes me appreciate these movies so much more. And then, of course, we brought it up last year, or last episode, Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein. You just realize how much of a love note it is to the first two movies. Definitely. For sure. And I guess maybe Son, like I said, Son and Ghost watched once, like decades ago. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Definitely. I hope they're good. I don't even know if Henry's going to be in them or what. I keep myself in the dark till I sit down and watch them. But yeah, I'm going to watch Young really soon because I love the movie anyway. And it's been so many years. And now I got Frankenstein and Bride in my memory. So it's like, yeah, let's watch it. Here's one thing I didn't like. One complaint. Elizabeth, when he gets home and she starts flipping the F out when they're in the bedroom together, that she's seeing some specter coming at them. And I thought this woman's completely unhinged. And then they just drop it. You remember that scene? She goes, look, it's there. It's like, some black figure or something's coming. It's following you everywhere. You remember that scene? She was freaking the F out, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I don't really remember it, but I don't know why. Again, it's not like I just watched this fucking movie. It's crazy. Right? Yeah. But only a few days ago, but I don't remember that.
She's going crazy. And it's like, why did they do that scene? They didn't need to do that. And then after that, she's normal again. I don't know. It was just a weird choice to do that. I don't know why they did that. But that's it. I mean, other than that, speaking of the small people, they show the king eating, and he's eating like a drumstick. Right? So I'm like, where did they get that small food from? What is that a drumstick of? Did he also shrink a chicken?
Yeah.
And then
Create a mini. Absolutely. Yeah. Those are the things that are comic relief. But you're right. If you question him a little bit further, absolutely. What is he
it
eating?
was great. He's holding on like one of those things, like a big turkey leg, like you get at freaking like Disney World. I'm like,
But
where'd he get that? What is that?
but the effects work was pretty cool with those ones.
It was cold, and they picked him up from the one jar and put. And how about when he was trying to break his wife out or the queen?
Yeah.
You know what he
Yeah.
was using?
No, a bone?
No, a sugar cube. He picked up a sugar cube, hanging it on the side of the thing. It was great.
That's good comedy.
Yeah,
I just-
it was smart.
I actually just read. I didn't even realize this. I didn't actually get a chance to watch because I was away. I didn't get a chance to watch there was a documentary on the thing that's longer than the movie. I love when they do that. Movie's an hour and 15. This documentary I think was an hour and 35.
I wanted to watch it so bad, and I didn't have time.
And a commentary by a historian as well. But like again, I think I summed it up at the beginning, and you agreed that everything was just one upped. Like from the look of the film, like the editing, the music, the acting, the ideas, everything just was next level. But this was a good bit of tidbit of information. So the director's cut, James Whale's director's cut, was 87 minutes long. But the producer, the son that got all this, Carl Jr., whatever, imposed a number of cuts to tame down the excesses, as it's quoted here. The prologue was cut, making it difficult to understand the present dialogue. The body count was reduced from 21 people to 10. So it was already souped up, but it was 21. Two love scenes between the couple and a toy representing the monster with a child have been deleted. The amount of 12-minute footage has been subsequently, oh my God, I can't talk, lost, making it impossible to reconstruct the initial idea by James Whale. Subsequently lost. My God. I was like,
I figured
speaking too quickly. So anyway, interesting that's all gone.
Man.
Gone.
Would have loved to see that. Wow.
I don't think this will be shown up on a videotape that can be baked out and put on a Blu-ray.
Sadly, no. So the film is just gone, huh?
Of all that extra stuff. But what we got is great.
Yes,
I mean, I don't have as much as we could probably even more deep dive into the themes and whatever. I mean, that's the surface. I mean, that's ultimately what I like. I liked it significantly more. And it's funny, I watched these back to back early in the year, and I was like, I think I even commented that they were equally good. Like, I didn't see, no, this is substantially a better film.
For sure. I definitely agree. It's probably my favorite. Like I was thinking about, like I have to watch Creature again, but I said the Wolfman, and this would probably be the big key. I think I prefer this to the other. I've only seen Creature once. I've seen Wolfman like, I don't know, 3-4 times. But this one I definitely, this is my favorite one. I'm all about this one. They did put it up in every way. It flowed better, just like you said. Everything went up. It's sequel 100%. And then Mini Girl is funny. She's always front and center. She's always bugging out. She's like, oh, I'll wash my hands of it then. And then she's always front and center. Anytime anything is going on, all of a sudden she's right there. She's like the representative of all the people. Yet she works inside the freaking castle too. So she's always right there, though. It's so funny.
Why would those rooms that have 2 doors that come into them, why wouldn't they lock the door? Remember when she's about to tell him that Dr. Pretorius is there, and she comes through the little like servant's door. She's like, Dr. Pretorius, she's like, send him away, and or whatever. I don't want to see him, or something to that degree. She's like, okay. And then he comes out from the other door and says, I'm here to see you, Frankenstein, or whatever. And there's 2 doors leading into that room.
Huh.
Why would they lock that door? It's like the main door and the servant's door. And all that's different is to get to the main door, you have to go up a flight of stairs to go through the door, to essentially come down a flight of stairs into the room. And that other door is at street level. I was going to say at the main level. It's the funniest thing. And you'll even see it from the alternate side, how it's set up. So it's not just a mistake. It is it's like 2 entrances in, but literally the entrance is up a flight of stairs, come through the doors to come to a landing that goes down a couple flight of stairs. Not a flight, like no 4 or 5 stairs. It's
Wow.
the weirdest setup. And I go, well, where did he come from? And then they showed the hallway, and I'm like, oh, well, that's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I didn't even pick up on any of that whatsoever somehow. Didn't even realize it. Oh, that's weird. How about the phone machine that they do? I don't know when the phone was invented,
The phone.
to be honest. But how about they made the thing? I got this machine you could talk to when you picked him up. Remember, you talked to the one that
Yeah.
kidnapped his wife, and it's basically just a phone.
I thought of that for a split second, but it was like, I think in the 1800s, the late 1800s.
Yeah, they called it a machine, Patoris. He said something about it. I'm like, okay, so this is the phone. It's just weird that one was here where he was, and the other one, the kidnapper, had it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was almost like a cell phone in a way, or like a mobile. It could be anywhere. I don't know. It's just, I just thought that was kind of weird. And I do love the ending and everything. I mean, it's so sad for Frankenstein. He wants his friend, and she's appalled, you know. And then at the end, he lets Henry go, and he's like, "We belong dead."
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, and there's like 1,000 explosions. It's like we're watching Rambo 2. That one thing, like a chain reaction of explosions that blow that place to smithereens.
Yep. How about one point he says, "We'll be blown to atoms," he said. I said, but I'm going to start saying that instead of smithereens, atoms. That's good. We'll be blown to atoms, you know? Well, great stuff, though. Great stuff. Yep. You know, you have anything else? I don't think there is anything else. Right?
No, and I almost feel bad because, again, I know. I honestly say this is a 10 out of 10, because if you're going to look at the classic movies, as much as I might have a question of where did the little bone come, how did he make the little mermaid girl? That's fluff. I think that's there on purpose, create life and to show the extent of his madness and where he's gone to. So you could argue it that way. And I didn't put this on my top list, but I would say that this was a perfect example of an old movie that has aged extremely well. And so 10 out of 10.
Wow. I can't go that high, but maybe another review will do it for me. For me, it's a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
But great. If we still had a Hall of Fame, it would be in it, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well,
we can't do it anymore.
I think we need a third vote. Damn that.
There's no more Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We can't have it. It's got to total this, unless we can come up with a total for 2, which I think we did do something similar like that on Wadzi. That's when what's her name came in, when Mercy would come in and say clickety clackety when we had a certain rating. So.
I think 19.5 then might have to be it. Well, maybe 19. Maybe we'll have to give it to 19.
10 and a 9? Shit.
A 10 and a 9. What do you mean a 10 and a 9?
Yeah, a 10 and a 9. You got a 10, I got a 9.
Oh, I thought you said 10 out of 9.
No, a 10 and a 9. No, 10 out of 9.
I thought this is the new 8 out of 5. 8 out of 5.
I don't know. I think you might have a bad case of 10 and 9s.
Well, oh my Lord. Wow. Yeah, that ringing in my ears. And that's
a B joke.
It is. And let me take us out of black and white. Hey, we're back, everybody.
In living color.
We're the colorized version.
Summer sausage.
Oh my God, we said that in sync.
Okay, check it. Did I ask you last show what your history is with the Hellraiser franchise?
You did.
I already forgot. So I'm only curious in moving forward from Inferno and on.
Saw them one time each. And I think there's one.
Okay.
I think I called it Juggernaut, and it's fucking Judgment.
Juggernaut?
I don't know what the hell I was thinking title-wise, but anyway, there's one I didn't see. I started it and I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna be for me. And then I turned it off. Sometimes if it looks like it's too cheap from the get-go, that's my Dave Z test. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And then sometimes I'll just go through it, like those 2 shitballs from last year, like I mentioned. Anyway, very little exposure. I saw this once before, and funny enough, I had fond memories that said I didn't mind it. Well, I'll probably have an update to that a bit later. So, are you ready for the introduction?
Yeah, I'm ready. And I'll say this: I've seen them all once. I probably said that last show, and that's it. From this movie on, I saw them all once. Gave them all a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and that's why we're doing this. That was why I pushed for it, because I really wanted to examine these films again and see if I'm wrong or if I'm nuts and I'm the only one that likes them. But let's see.
So here we go. Hellraiser Inferno. I don't even know if it's known as Hellraiser 5, but it is the 5th one. So we're going to call it that there. And it's directed by Scott Derrickson. Excuse me. And we'll get into that too. And it a shady police detective becomes embroiled in a strange world of murder, sadism, and madness after being assigned a murder investigation against a bad man known only as the Engineer. And funny enough, I know that this and the next one for sure, possibly the two after that, but I know this one and the next one for sure have been mentioned that they were standalone films that were owned by Dimension, scripts that were owned by Dimension, that Pinhead and the Cenobites were sort of fused into. But when you read the trivia here, it says that this one was always supposed to be a Hellraiser movie from the get-go. But there are people that still argue it. I'm one of them. I don't believe so. I think it was weaved in. But
you see my first note there at the top? What does it say?
Let's challenge the rumors. Yeah.
Yes, let's challenge the rumors, because I wanted to have this discussion. I'm glad you brought it up. Okay. I've heard this said as if it's been a matter of fact.
Yes,
time
true.
and time again, just like Tobe Hooper didn't direct fucking Poltergeist. Time and time, like it's all a matter of fact. Everybody was in the room. Everybody knows. Everybody's so confident that all these movies were written as something else and then wedged into this franchise. Now, I challenge this. Scott Derrickson wrote this, who is a director who I like just about all of his movies. I don't think Scott Derrickson and his partner sat down and just wrote some weird, trippy horror movie about a guy, maybe or maybe not, going on a Twilight Zone tale where he goes to hell just for the sake of doing it, without having the box in there and without having all these other Cenobites that he's seen throughout the movie. I believe, and I didn't look at the trivia, and I want to challenge the rumors on each and every one of these movies that we do moving forward. So for this movie, right out of the gate, you're saying that you do believe that it was not written as a Hellraiser movie.
Well, he specifically said he wrote it as a Hellraiser from start to finish. He said it. So who am I to disagree? However, when I watch it, it feels wedged in. It feels like an addition. I feel like they put a cool introduction title sequence, just like they do the next one, because I started the next one last night just to see. And it's a beautiful, like everything, the box twisting around, beautiful open credits, and just to set the mood to be thrown into a made-for-TV feeling type movie. Now, let's talk about this one specifically. This one was direct-to-video. It definitely feels direct-to-video.
100%.
It feels like I mentioned earlier, almost like an episode of TV, and almost maybe would have played better as a Hellraiser TV show and an episode of. But it's a movie that was released by Dimension, and they did it on the cheap, and it feels like it. I'm not going to say it's totally ineffective. It's got some great moments to it. But
Agreed.
But overall, it was underwhelming. It was something just lacking in production and oomph. You always say, I know when a movie feels like a 90s movie, it looks like a 90s movie. Now, I know this came out in 2000. This looks like what I think you're describing of it looks like a 90s movie.
That's fair. And it does have that feel to it. And I think once you cast aside that, like to compare it to the other ones, going into it right off the bat, you have to tell yourself, I know this is not going to have the production values or this and this and this. Just another story in the Hellraiser franchise and the Hellraiser, the Book of Saw, but the Book of Hellraiser almost. Yeah. These are just different things. And yes, it's direct to video. It's going to be different. So if you can accept that going in, now look at it this way.
I agree with you. I can agree with where you're going with it. Yeah.
The original Hellraiser. In the beginning, you see what you see. And then you get a little talk. And then at the end, all the Cenobites come out and do
Oh,
their
hell
thing.
breaks loose is what you're going to say. I knew you were going to say it.
I did not, though. I held back. In this movie, you get that little thing at the beginning. It's kind of similar. Then you get, I'm not going to say you get nothing throughout the movie, because you get all the other Cenobites throughout the movie until the end. And then you get Pinhead doing what he does best and having to do it. Would I have liked to see more Pinhead? Yes. But I'm also thinking about the original movie, and what we got in that movie is not that much different than what we see here.
You're true. And I know Pinhead is only in it for X amount of minutes and whatever. And you're right. That was actually, if you go back to the originals, that it's almost played the exact same way. I think he's in it more in Hellbound, but in Hellraiser, it's limited screen time. I think it's because he's got his entourage with him in that. And although he's got people here, they come in separate. There are all these different forms of demon and Cenobites, and they're effective in their own right, except for the trio cowboy kick shitter guys. That's a weird, that seems weird and out of place.
That's one thing I don't like. I don't like that too many people are in the know in the real world about this other world. Now, when you get to the end, it could be explained as, okay, this is your trip. And I dig that. And that is what I dig about it.
It's like he can never, it's like a loop. His hell is a loop, and we're experiencing it. And that's why it does help. And I do like the way it's written. I do like the way it's written like a detective, like a noir style, like he's on the hunt. I don't know if he's the best actor. I mean, I liked him in Nightbreed. He's okay here, hams it up a little bit, but I think I took a little bit, like he wasn't my favorite, but he's surrounded by enough. And I think that is the fault that what sinks the movie a little bit more. Something about his performance just didn't win me over. But he's surrounded by enough talent that I'm happy with. And Pinhead does look cool in this because it's Pinhead. He's lit the proper way, whatever. It looks good. And there's some freaky for a special effects budget that I think was considered low. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was like 50,000. They just like when the hands go under the skin. Awesome.
Dude.
It was awesome.
Yes.
It was unsettling. Like
it was freaking,
it literally got under your skin. Like no pun totally intended. It was visually pleasing, and there's enough gore and enough. It's not 1 and 2, or even 3 and 4 for that matter. This seems the tamest by those standards, but there's still moments that deliver the goods.
I agree. And first and foremost, we get 15 minutes in, we get Cenobites. Didn't take long. 15 minutes in, we get those Cenobites, and then we get some cool ass Cronenberg shit, because that's what that reminded me of the flesh.
Absolutely.
They put the hands underneath the, dude. I was like, I forgot about this. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool.
As did I,
Right. And the other stuff we got the bed that had blood that was kind of, it's kind of something that ties back in with the franchise. And then later on, we got the guy with the whipping boy with the ice cream man with the whips in his back. And for the most part, the practical effects, no, they're not on the level of 1 and 2, but they do not look bad, especially for a direct-to-video movie that takes its freaking musical cues and background music from, and this is a complaint, but it had that feel of freaking
stock
Skinamax movies. It had that.
They needed Christopher Young's score at the very least just to help tie it in, and give it elevated another level. And in that same direct-to-video look, we've seen direct-to-video movies that have been successful, but there's something about the steady cam work or the camera movement work. Everything seems stilted. Everything just doesn't seem polished. Like it doesn't seem to have that next level. And I know that they were working with a very limited budget, so I get it. And the writer-director, and I think his co-writer moved on to bigger and better things like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sinister, and of course Black Phone. At least Scott Derrickson. I don't know if the same writer continued with all of those, but I think for at least Exorcism of Emily Rose, excuse me. But so humble beginnings, and they got their start here in a Dimension film. It's a cheapie. It's possible, but it's just a little bit more love could have made this something on par with what just came before it, and with different levels. I mean, we're not talking about. I think I gave a 6.5 for 3. I gave a 7 for 4, and this is just going to be lower than both of those. And I know they're not going to they're going to pale in comparison to the originals. So I get all that, and there might be enough. Like he's a bad guy, that noir-esque detective sort of stance is kind of cool. He is battling his own demons, figuratively and literally, and whatnot. And he wants to be good, but he's just not. And he's like sort of reliving his own hell. So I don't know if he died. It is kind of like Angel Heart, I guess. I think there was a comparison. I don't know if I read this or if I heard it. Like Angel Heart's a much better film, but I'm just saying that it's got that kind of spiral, and like the engineer ends up being Pinhead, I guess. But I, I don't know. That's why I think it was maybe a cop out to a story that existed that then was transitioned, and maybe they wrote the transition, but they're saying that it was always supposed to be a Hellraiser film from start to finish, inspiration to but I feel like it was written for a different movie, and then they said, hey, we got the rights to Hellraiser, we like your script, do you think, since it's already about hell and it's got that element, do you think you can tinker with it a little bit to bring this into the Hellraiser world? My take, that's not coming from anywhere, but just this feeling I have based on the film itself.
To a degree, I could see that. I could see the idea, but I think that Derrickson wrote this that way. But I know what you're saying, that you could have this, and this guy's going through this, and it's kind of a cool, trippy thing, and and we get that reveal and what's going on here. I could see that, but I'm trying to think how it could have been written without that, and how it would have worked. Like what? He just goes somewhere and picks up a prostitute and goes back to work the next day, and she just turns up dead and nobody knows why. I mean, I suppose, but then he's being chased by these, and that makes the movie that he's being chased throughout the movie by these Cenobites. So how else would they have played it without that? I'm trying to figure out. It'd be very, very basic and boring. I don't know. I'm not.
Maybe he's being chased by demons, but they're saying from concept to finish film, it was a Hellraiser movie. And again, I can't. If they're saying it, what can you do? What can you do? I'm saying maybe it was a movie about a detective battling his demons and being chased by demons and spiraling down in a hell world. And they said, hey, we got your script column A, we've got the rights of Hellraiser column B. It's not going to take too much to meld them together. And who knows? But again, only because it's such a departure from the story, which you almost kind of respect in one regard, that it's not so generic of a follow-up. It goes a totally different route, but then that's also what makes it such a fish out of water. But then I guess that's what 5, 6, 7, 8 all become. That's episodes of Hellraiser.
They're different movies. They're different type of thing. And if you watch them for what they are and don't think about the originals and just take it for what it is, say, hey, the Hellraiser world should be so vast, because all you need is by the way, they called it the lament configuration. I think that's the first time they said it was in this movie. Am I right or wrong on that? I don't know if it's ever been called that.
I feel like they said the last one, but it could be wrong.
It's possible they said it in the fourth one. It is possible. It definitely not in the first 3.
Oh,
in the book, that's what it's referred to as. It was written that way. It wasn't that some producer in part fucking 4 or 5 decided to call it that. This was actually, they just never used that terminology in the movie. So that's something cool about it. There's something else. That Gary Tunnicliffe guy, he's credited on this movie, and I forgot because I saw him in the opening credits. I don't remember what his what he was done, but I can tell you this: he stays in the franchise from here on out. In Hellseeker, he's the makeup effects creator. In Deader, he's the special makeup designer. Hellworld, makeup effects created by. So he stays in and eventually directs, I want to say, Hellraiser Judgment.
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut, yeah. So he stays in. He exactly where I'm guessing it's something makeup, but when I look up makeup department in under the under his credits, it doesn't come up for this movie in 2000 of Inferno. But I know his name came up, and I go, I'm going to remember this name. And he was the associate producer in Judgment, Juggernaut, and the director. Okay, so he stays in, and the thing, and here's something funny. When the opening credits come in, all of a sudden at one point in the credits, the score goes to this real overpowering, evil sounding part of the score. Oh, and like this. And as soon as that happens, guess what names come on the screen? Bob and Harvey Weinstein. I go, there you go. That fits right in. This devilish thing coming. Shouldn't laugh at it, but it is what it is. So Derrickson, Tunnicliffe, Weinstein.
I mean,
the puzzle thing, dude.
Well, you tweak some dialogue. You tweak some dialogue when he's talking to the guy from Dexter's dad. When he's talking to him, that's when the Lamont configuration comes in, and you could tweak some dialogue there, and it could just be demons, and it might have been some evil presence that the engineer turned into, and then they're like, well, you got your evil presence, it's Pinhead. You've got the demons are Cenobites. You change the dialogue that mentions Cenobites. You mentioned the Lamont configuration as well. Lamont. I think I said Lamont. I think I said Lamont twice already. Anyway,
2 shots.
You change that dialogue there, and again, it seems so sporadic that I feel like that's where I can make that argument that conceptualized, yeah, there's evil and it's hell, but was it Hellraiser? And they're saying yes, but
okay. What about the puzzle stuff? Right off the bat, we get narration from him, and he talks about he loves solving puzzles. And in the beginning scenes, he's playing chess, and there's this motif of him in puzzles throughout the whole thing, and then he sees the box, and that ties into puzzles. I mean, could they have added all that stuff in? Certainly.
They could have, because what's the payoff? He didn't seem to figure out that he was in his own hell, which is the whole puzzle of the movie.
It's just his intrigue for the cube. Yeah. Because he went to the death scene.
Intriguing the cube.
Gleaming the cube. Yeah. No, because he went to the first death scene. He knew the guy. He saw this thing. He saw the box and said, okay, he was curious. It piqued his curiosity, so he took it out. He took it out of the evidence box or whatever, and he got it because he was fascinated by it, because theoretically it could be a puzzle because on what they found at the at the death scene, the first guy.
But
I don't know. I want to believe it was written.
Yeah, and that's fine, and that's the argument, and they said it. So again, how am I arguing against the actual writer or director of the film? But you figure they would use that. They have that puzzle box. They got the rights. Why wouldn't you have incorporated even more so? It just seems to be threaded through. Yeah, but you still
budget constraints. Yeah. You could only do so many, and I thought they actually did well when they did have gore. And even at the end, they got to the point towards the end when they get to the other thing and the thing spinning around with the hooks hanging from the ceiling and the big wooden thing, and the wife and the daughter are there and all that. And then you get and then at the end you get the hooks in the mouth being pulled apart. Yeah. It's hooks right from the beginning. They say with the autopsy for the first guy that he was ripped apart by hooks. So it is sprinkled in there. And it seems like most of their budget went for the Cenobites and things involving them and makeup effects. And again, they're not top notch, but for a direct-to-video movie in the year 2000, I mean, they look fine. My complaint, honestly, and you're going to have that complaint, especially at this time with, it's the CGI, it's gotten a little better. But it was really bad if you didn't have a real lot of money at this point. Obviously, they don't. The CGI, most of it, some of it was decent. That freaking CGI tongue though that they kept showing, it's just bad. It's just there's nothing worse. Like bad CGI makes my balls hurt.
Yeah, well, couldn't they just get like a tongue out of like some special effects guy's like drawer, throw a little goo on it, and just use a regular latex tongue?
Right. Time
I mean, they're
constraints,
they're
I
a dime
guess.
a dozen. I would have just gone to a dollar store, grabbed like I would have fucking cooked up some like turkey bacon or I don't know bacon and use that as my tongue. Just stick some goo on it. Like, but you're right. Like the CGI, they and I mean
It's a
it's
shame.
used. I mean it's used constantly now. I mean it's just part of filmmaking now. But
And some's good and some's bad. I still
yeah,
wish we didn't have it. Still prefer the makeup, but it is what it is. But the transformation scene with Pinhead, later on when they're having that discussion, he goes, "The engineer, it's as good as a name as any," and then
yeah.
he turns. That looks a little weak, but there are some weak scenes. But the gore, the makeup effects, I should say, for the most part, they're pretty good considering. I mean, like I said, I'm comparing the movie in some respects to a freak like a soft core freaking movie that's on Cinemax.
Yeah.
Like when they're having sex and they're playing like random music in the background, not a score, just like freaking stuff you would see in a movie like that. And I just don't know why they make decisions like that because it just makes the movie look cheap when you do that.
I did find that it moved kind of slow. Like it did take me a couple of views to try to get into it. I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of sluggish." And then, so what? I'll be totally transparent. I put it on, watched 20 minutes, and then when I went back to the next day, I'm like, I got to rewind. I don't fucking remember a thing that happened in this movie.
Wow.
And then when I rewatch, I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah. But it was literally the night before, the morning after. And I'm
Huh.
like, how the fuck? I didn't remember. I remembered it again upon, oh yeah, that's what happened. Totally. So that's what I'm saying. Just kind of vapid, like nothing to, no retention. And I didn't hate it. I don't hate the movie. There's enough to grab onto, but it just gets like just over a passing grade for me. Like just,
Okay. That, that's fine. I liked it. It's my kind of story, actually. It's kind of like a Twilight Zone-ish thing. And
yeah.
when you get to the ending with the reveal, and I kind of remembered halfway through, because I'd seen like the one time before, I'm like, oh, okay, now I remember what's going to happen here. This is cool. Then they get to the end and they do it really well. And I'm like, okay, great ending. Then the story that the guy told earlier about the other guy that came in and blew his brains out at his desk. I'm like, okay, that's great too. And then you get maybe another great ending. And then I don't know exactly at the very end why they went that way. It was almost like, I don't know. And he yells, no. And I'm thinking, I think they could have just let it off with the one before with him blowing his brains out or so.
Yeah.
Any one of them or repetition. But that was like, that threw me off a little. But everything else, I care about I like the whole situation between him and his partner. I think it's really cool. Torturo in their role and how they're friends and they're close, they're partners, this, that, then what happens, and just what happens in their relationship. I really like it. And I like the thing with his wife at home and the daughter misses him. And I like the way they portray him as a man that has flaws. And then he just goes on a whole different, the more that we uncover about him, the worse we see him getting. And he doesn't visit his parents at the center. We find out he has them put in the home. He
Oh,
doesn't visit them. So he's being tormented about all these things wrong that he's done in his life. And then ultimately what it leads to. I guess it's just my kind of story. And then when you put in freaking, Pinhead and Chatterer and these new ones that come in and they do enough, I enjoy it. I liked it a little more than I did the last time I saw it. So right now I'm okay.
oh,
Like,
and that's fine. And that's fine. This is why we're revisiting them. It gave me a reason to revisit them. And I feel like this could be like an absolute bore and absolute terrible reading for some people. And I could see some people absolutely loving it because it's a different take and they dig the story. I'm funny enough right in the middle. And just a useless fact, the nurse at the home where his parents are, as soon as she came on screen, because I've watched the movie so many times, I'm like, oh, It's Minnie, or I think that's her name, from Last American Virgin. It's a
Oh, is
girl
it
that
really?
Lawrence Monason can't get the bra off of at the beginning. She's also a Naked Gun. She's the one that's doing the driving lessons, and he goes, "Now extend your
Oh,
middle finger and give the guy
that's
the yeah." That's her.
wow.
She's only been in it like I don't
No,
know
that's a guy.
50. No, that's the guy that's telling, but she's the one that's doing the having the driving lesson.
She's the driver.
Yeah, she's the driver.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood now. I
So,
was like, wait a minute. Okay,
but
because I
she's
remember
only
the
been
guy
in like
saying,
60 things or whatever like that, but little bit roles. And this is, and I go, I got to double check it's her. And it was, of course, it was her, just for any Last American Virgin fans and for just a stupid piece of trivia.
how about that? How many minis are there in movies? And we talked about two of them tonight. Minnie from freaking Bride of Frankenstein and Minnie from Last American Virgin. There's our connection. See?
I mean, I'm going by memory. That's her name. I'm Mindy or Mindy, Minnie or
Okay.
Mindy. But anyway, yeah, it's. I might have to revisit my grade depending on where we go with the rest of the series. But right now, it's a 5.5 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair. For me, it's a 6.5.
Okay,
I enjoyed it.
That's
I
fine.
I got in. I enjoyed it at the end. He is a weird actor in this movie. There is something about his performance that rubs me a little wrong. But I
Yes.
liked him. But
Yeah.
I liked him in Nightbreed. But I'm watching him here, and I'm like, something seems off. His delivery,
Yep.
or something, his look, something just seems a little off to me about him in this movie. I don't know what it is, but it just, I don't know. I don't really complain about acting much, but it just seemed like, I don't know, he wasn't doing a good job in some scenes. It just,
And you say you never noticed it. So if you noticed it, then it almost validates, because that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, he's right.
it's like
yeah,
his inflection was off. Like the way he delivered the lines, something was just, it didn't sound natural.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
what it was. But
I
what are you
have
gonna do?
but before we go, I just want to tell you, I ended up watching. Remember we did the fourth one, and we said, oh, there is a work print version of it. Some guy on YouTube, as we found out, created, like, redid it. Now
Bits of it, right?
Now what happened? No, it's the whole movie. It's in like chunks. The reality is
That's what I mean. Bits of it. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So he got the original script.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Am I cutting out because I feel like I'm hearing myself in your thing, or is that because you don't have headphones on?
It's because of that.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't cutting out. So then I did watch it. Now the stuff that's good. So this is why they edited it the way they did. It doesn't start in space. There's no flash cuts of Pinhead like we discussed. It starts back in the past. It's not a story told that goes backwards. It plays out over the years. So you start with that, then you move, and then the last act is in space. So I guess Pinhead in its form shows up in the middle of the movie when like he would normally, but they've edited it so that there's space at the beginning to bookend the movie, like we talked about. Pinhead at the beginning, when there wasn't any Pinhead at the beginning, and they slimmed it down. Now, I would still like to see the work. I'd love to see the movie presented that way with what they filmed. What this guy did on the YouTube version is he recreated the scenes that weren't filmed, that were in the script, with CG. And I'm not going to lie to you, for like no budget for a fan, he did a damn good job. But it's like literally like characters, cartoon-esque video game characters talking it out and acting out the scenes. So that could be a little like, just disjointed when you're watching it and try to enjoy it. However, I love the flow. I love how they played it out. You'll see the extended cuts, like how it flowed. It's really weird when you see how they re-edited it to do the story the way they wanted to for the theatrical version.
Man, I want to see it.
Well, just watch the first segment then. The first 10-minute segment will show you a little bit more of how it would have started and played out. Like the first two segments, maybe. I think the second one, though, goes into a CG stuff a little. So very intriguing and definitely a more promise. I mean, we already like the movie for what it is, but you could see this could have possibly got it up to that 8 range or more.
Well, I want someone to piece it together and to put out their own thing on YouTube and just label it as something else. Say what, you know what I mean? So we can get away with it and do that, or put it to disc, burn it to disc somehow.
Well,
And I'd love to see it together as one thing. I'm definitely intrigued about this. I started watching a little bit of it, and then I couldn't remember how the original movie started. And I was like, let me think about this. And then I just got sidetracked and I forgot to go back. But
yeah,
it's cool.
I loved it. I thought, well, I loved what he did. I don't necessarily need so if they didn't film it, they didn't film it. But I guess the budget was limited there, so there are certain scenes that are not there, and yeah, maybe it would have developed the characters a bit more. But I still think they've got enough of the work print that was actually done to string the story together, to show you like they really changed the way it is. Like they make it look like they bring in the girl first. I think it just plays with the timing. Like when he creates the puzzle box and when he brings it over, it's all in different timing, and the reasoning for what they want it for is different. There's a whole table full of people that they sacrifice with the puzzle box to bring that woman back, to bring Angelique back.
Oh,
It's way different.
that makes more sense. If she's so powerful that they would end up doing more than that, you know? They would
So yeah,
take more.
that's what it is. It opens up with them luring her in, and and essentially killing her to get the vessel for the demon to come into, and then they need his puzzle box to create it. There's a lot more mumbo jumbo of him spouting out like nocta verato nicto type lines, and that I could get why maybe they didn't like that, but because he says it like 5 times over, but it works. It works within the realm of the movie, and I would love to see that cut, like you said, not with his CG shit in, just what the movie that it was filmed initially. I think you'll still get a good flow and a good idea of what it should have been.
That's cool. Yeah, and I like what we had anyway, but still, that would add to it. But yeah, I mean, Inferno is definitely a lot different. I mean, that there's no question, and it's probably going to continue this way. But we know what we're getting into. I just, people really do dog these movies, and I don't know. From what I saw the first time around, I don't think they deserved that. Especially some of the other drivel that people watch, like I don't know, other movies get a pass, like just because it's like a bigger franchise, like Nightmare on Elm Street 5 or something. I don't know. It's just really like I think that. Seriously, I think that this movie is better than Nightmare on Elm Street 4. I'd prefer to watch this. Whatever. I mean,
I can't agree with you, but
that's fine, right?
We
have our own opinions. I just think that the issues I have with 4, I don't have with this. I can answer my questions. It may not be the greatest movie in many respects, but I can at least make sense of it. Where Nightmare 4, I cannot, and I just kind of get angry at the decisions made. That doesn't happen here. That's all I'm saying. It's just, so I think sometimes things get a pass depending on the franchise they're in, and other times they're just like, well, then they hear direct to video and they're like, yeah, it's going to be terrible. And the thing is, nowadays, so many independent movies are, you know what I mean? It's like the modern day direct to video. They're low budget. They come here, they come out, and they stream. Some are lower budget than others, but still, we do see it. It's so funny. You hear people complaining about like modern horror, and it's always about the stuff that's played at theater. Or do you see something, what's been the best movie of 2023? And everybody's always talking about just the ones that came to theater. It's like, how are these horror fans not realizing that there's all these independent movies streaming? Everyone's supposed to be so stream conscious, like we talked about earlier. Why aren't they watching it? I don't know. Yeah. It's just, that's another soapbox moment. Anyway.
We love those moments.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, another link of summer sausage eaten.
God. How about that? Yep. So now the next show is what? Hellraiser, Hellseeker, and what is the Frankenstein?
Son of Frankenstein.
Is it Son?
Yeah.
All right. Very interested. Very interested in seeing what son of Frankenstein actually is. Is it the son of Victor? Or pardon me, Henry? Probably, huh? Is Frankenstein? Well, Frankenstein's monster has to be in it. This is what I'm confused about. Where are they going to take this franchise? Is Frankenstein's
we'll find out.
monster in every movie? We're going to find out. I don't know. So you think you would have to?
I think so, for at least until, I think it always is. Well, at least with Karloff, I think he left after
The
Ghost.
second one? So Karloff's still around, you're telling me.
I think
that'd be great.
I think he is in that. He's not in Abbott and Costello. I don't think he does that House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, but I'm speaking, I haven't even looked into this yet. So I'm speaking off the cuff. No research.
Taking it, right. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking it as it comes. If I want to research after, I will, but I want to go into the movies not knowing much. So that's good. Awesome. So I guess that's the end. I guess that's the end of the show. So thank you, everyone. That was show 208. And a lot of fun, Summer Sausage. So
for sure. You
got anything?
No. Goodbye, everybody.
Get the hell out of here. Yeah. We love you guys. Thank you. Peace out. Machichi, machichi.